dark. I was blinded from the start. Still I'm chasing what I find in your eyes, in your eyes, eyes when I fell for your eyes, 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 eyes when I fell for your eyes. You pulled me under like a summer tide. Eyes, eyes, eyes when I fell for your eyes.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to request the people who are still taking tea to join us in the room as we are going to be starting in a few. And if you joined us a bit earlier, you're on the table, please feel free to interact with someone that is seated next to you, ask their names, ask them how the night has been. Get to know their names because you never know, I might surprise you and ask you who is seated next to you, and you don't want to be embarrassed, right? So the people who are outside, please join us in the room. We are going to be starting in few seconds. Abantu bari hanze bakiri gufata icyayi mwatwegera mukaza muri room tugatangira. Abantu bicaranye mube muganira ubaze mugenzi wawe amazina ye aho aturuka uko ijoro rye ryagenze dore twazindutse cyane. Mukanya nshobora kubatunguza ikibazo nkakubaza uwo muri kumwe uko yitwa, so singutungure, sibyo? Good morning, everyone, once again. Good morning. I cannot hear you. Good morning. Awesome, awesome. I like that. I like that. Honorable Minister Solange Wituze from Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, UN Resident Coordinator Fatoumata Loveta Sise, members of United Nations, UN country representatives, head of development partners and financial institutions, representatives of civil society and private sector, women champions from the RWEE. Are we here? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frida Gates Uwinjeneye. I'm the founder of Miss NEC Africa, an organization that empowers women in leadership. And it's my greatest honor to be your MC for the high-level policy dialogue themed Catalysing Inclusive and Climate Resilient Agri-Food Systems through Gender-Responsive Financing. I warmly welcome you all. Let's give it a round of applause. Everyone has come, they have managed to be here so early, so let's give ourselves a round of applause. I refuse to take that. Let's do it again. Nice, nice, nice. Today is a great day, and we are going to be convening together on a critical moment for Rwanda's agricultural transformation journey. And allow me to enlighten you that women make up nearly 79% of agricultural workforce. So they are the backbone of agricultural production for food security, rural livelihoods. Yet many of these women they continue to face challenges, and they don't fully participate and benefit from climate resilient agricultural development. So the diversity of stakeholders in this room gathered, together we are going to be reflecting the shared commitments to addressing these challenges and advancing solutions that are inclusive, sustainable, and transformative. Your presence is really powerful. It's powerful because it reminds us that progress is only possible through collective action, strong partnerships, and common vision for the future of Rwanda's agriculture, for future of Rwanda's food system. As we begin this session, allow me to tell you that this session is going to be contributing to meaningful dialogues, innovative ideas, and actionable commitments that will help us bridge the gender financing gap and strengthen climate resilience across agricultural sector. To ensure full and effective participation of everyone, we have made available translation systems on your tables. So for those who want to tune in English, you will press 1, and for Kinyarwanda, you will press 2. It is now my greatest honor to invite Ms. Tikikel Tadel Alem. I hope I pronounced it correctly. She's the country representative of UN Rwanda, and she's going to be delivering the welcome remarks. And later, Ms. Tiki allow us to do us the honor to welcome the keynote address from Ms. Fatoumata. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's always such a great pleasure to stand next to a young woman, an aspiring young woman who is really engaging, contributing, and influencing what we do in the development ecospace. Excuse me. Technology. Honorable State Minister for Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Solange Wituze, Deputy Chief Gender Monitor, Mr. Florian Rurizo, distinguished representatives of government institutions present here, the United Nations Resident Coordinator ad interim, and the UNDP Resident Representative, Dr. Fatimata Loveta Sisse, leaders from the financial and private sector institutions, representatives of development partners, civil society organizations, academia, the media, our women farmers and entrepreneurs present here, my colleagues and fellow heads of UN agencies from FAO, IFAD, WFP, and fellow United Nations colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to observe all protocols. Very good morning to you. Waramot Seneza. My names are Tukukul Tadela, and it gives me such a great pleasure to stand before you, representing my organization, UN Women, but also the joint program on rural women's economic empowerment, partnering UN agencies, FAO, IFAD, WFP, to warmly welcome you to this high-level policy dialogue, which we themed Catalyzing Inclusive, Climate-Resilient Agri-Food Systems through Gender-Responsive Financing. Allow me to express our sincere appreciation to the Honorable State Minister for Agriculture and Animal Resources, who is also standing on behalf of Honorable Minister, and of course the Honorable Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, who could not be here due to a competing priority, but delegated Mr. Florier, who is the Deputy Chief Gender Monitor. He's coming in as we speak, for their presence and gracing us, and for their leadership, but also for the commitment of their institutions to advancing inclusive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems in Rwanda. The diversity represented in this room, as Frida rightly said, your presence as representing governments, financial institutions, development partners, civil society, academia, the private sector actors, and most importantly, the women entrepreneurs themselves, gives us the confidence that these conversations that we are going to be holding today will be enriched by a wealth of experiences, perspectives, and solutions. So I really want to take this opportunity to thank each and every partner present here for making the time to join us today. Distinguished guests, allow me to start my welcoming remarks with a simple proposition. There cannot be climate-resilient agriculture food systems without gender equality, and there cannot be gender equality without financing. But too often, the conversations around agri-food system transformation, food security, and women's empowerment or women's economic empowerment take place in separate places or spaces. But the reality is different because they are deeply interconnected. I say this because women constitute, as Frida also rightly said, the majority of Rwanda's agricultural workforce. And in fact, across Africa, women produce much of the continent's food and play a very critical role as producers, as processors, traders, entrepreneurs, and leaders across the agro-food systems. Yet they continue to face unequal access to land, productive resources, technologies, markets, and finance, in addition to all the other gender equality barriers that they face on a day-to-day basis. And these constraints limit not only their economic opportunities, but also the productivity, resilience, and sustainability of agri-food systems. This is why we are here. And as climate shocks intensify, and this is what we are facing all over the world and in Rwanda, these inequalities deepen. Yet, financing for gender-responsive climate and agri-food systems transformation in Africa, and often in most of our countries, remains limited, despite the central role women play in food production and rural economies. And I must say this boldly, this is not simply a financing gap, it's actually a resilience gap. When women lack access to finance, They have fewer opportunities to invest in productive assets, adopt climate-smart practices, access markets, and strengthen the resilience of their households and agri-food systems, broadly speaking. At UN Women and across all the UN agencies collaborating with us in this joint program, IFAD, WFP, FAO, and the program partners present here who've been supporting us to implement, we believe that it's high time that we shift the narrative. Rural women are not waiting to be empowered. They are not waiting to be included because they are actually producing already. They are already selling, they are already innovating, and they are already leading. So today, as we gather here, the question before us is really whether our institutions, policies, and financing systems are evolving quickly to recognize and invest in women's leadership in this sector. And this is not a matter of equality, and we keep saying it. It's essential for more productive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems in our country. And this really is the understanding that lies at the heart of the joint program on rural women's economic empowerment. So together, FAO, IFAD, UN Women, and WFP have seen firsthand that solutions actually exist. Through access to finance, markets, technologies, among others, rural women have strengthened livelihoods, improved households, and built resilience against climate shocks. So the challenge before us is no longer whether these approaches work. The challenge is really how to move these promising initiatives and proofs of concepts into sustainable investments that reach women at scale. And this is why we're gathered here today, and not simply to diagnose or discuss the challenges, but also use this as an opportunity, as a solution space, and find practical pathways to address the persisting barriers. And in this room, we are very much privileged to be joined by distinguished panelists whose expertise and diverse experiences would definitely enrich the discussions and help us identify actionable solutions. As I close my remarks and welcoming you all to this important gathering, I would like to encourage you all to stay through, actively engage, and of course, be part of the journey and the partnerships that will close the barriers to agri-food systems for women and girls. With those remarks, and on behalf of the joint program partners, it's now my distinct honor to invite the UN resident coordinator ad interim, Dr. Fatmata, also the UNDP Res Rep, I have to emphasize that, to deliver the keynote address. Dr. Fatmata, you have the floor.
Good morning. The room is feeling quiet. It doesn't feel like we have women in the room, and especially women from rural areas. So I'm like, good morning. We have to make our presence felt. The Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Solange Uwituzi. We have the Deputy Chief Gender Monitor, Mr. Florent. Very happy to have you all here. All other government representatives that are here, heads of development partners, institutions, financial institutions, my colleagues from the One UN family, who I always feel give me a lot of energy. Happy to have the dynamic head of FAO here, Mohammed. We have IFAD represented, WFP team is here, and of course UN Women. Always very happy to be here, and people from civil society organizations, the private sector. Most importantly, our women champions who are here. A round of applause for bringing them together to be part of the conversation. It is often that we have discussions about women in rural areas when they themselves are not present. So I was really delighted when I walked into the room and I saw that they have a good representation, because the discussion about them has to take them into consideration. In fact, they have to be on the agenda. They are the ones that will tell us what is actually needed to move forward. But let me begin again by saying that it's really great to join you here, part of the policy dialogue on catalyzing inclusive and climate resilient agri-food systems through gender-responsive financing, which is of course aligned to the overarching theme of the Financing the Future, bridging the gender gap for climate resilient agri-food systems in Rwanda. I also would like to commend and appreciate the government of Rwanda for its steadfast leadership and partnership, and especially from the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion, and as well as the Gender Monitoring Office, for in fact being part of this very important conversation. I also commend my colleagues in the UN agencies for coming together, UN Women, FAO, IFAD, and WFP, because their collective commitment to this joint program is what has brought us here today. To all other stakeholders that are present, your leadership and resilience and innovation is central to shaping Rwanda's agri-food systems, and also to represent the profound impact that occurs when women are supported, resourced, and empowered. Your presence here today is a powerful testament that the discussions are still very important, your inputs are relevant, and because we have a shared goal of wanting to see women thrive in the agriculture sector and more. Honorable Minister, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, some statistics are important for us to put this discussion into context, and they are stark. Globally, agri-food systems are critically underfinanced, and there is a staggering financing gap that is normally quoted in documents that exceed $1 trillion annually, which includes $200 billion in unmet needs, especially for smallholder farmers. So globally, the discussion is stark. This challenge is further exacerbated by a historical decline in development assistance. We've all had this, which dropped by over 20% in 2025, disproportionately affecting especially countries on the continent of Africa. Within this context, African countries, including Rwanda, are struggling to mobilize adequate financing for agri-food systems, part of a broader financing challenge. If the whole system is affected financially, parts of the whole is also going to be affected. In Rwanda, we've said this many times, everybody who stands here will tell you, and not only in Rwanda, many countries in Africa, agriculture is the backbone of the economy. Even though, yes, the data shows that services contribute about 44 to 48% of GDP, agriculture about a quarter, 24 to 25%, but the importance of the sector is beyond what it contributes to GDP. For those of us who know the flawed system of calculating GDP, it doesn't account for so much more that happens in the sector. So agriculture is way more important than the percentage it contributes to GDP. And its importance really lies in the participation, the number of people who are involved. That's why we do not minimize that sector by its contribution to GDP alone. Having said that, knowing that 70% of the population in this country depends on, contributes to significantly on agriculture, we also know that there are still existing challenges, especially for farmers and agri-entrepreneurs who continue to encounter systemic barriers to accessing finance. And I want to mention one of this. In one of the forums where we were, a young woman farmer says, the financial institutions are never going to be catered to us if their financing time frame is not aligned with the agricultural time frame. You can't expect me to pay my loan when I haven't harvested the goods. So if you're doing a January to December calculation of when I should pay bills, when I have season A, season B, season C not responding to your calendar, then I can't take your loan. It's as simple as that sometimes. So often you hear the conversation, the finance exists, the mechanisms exist, but the cables that connect between those who need the loan and the financial institutions, the connection is not there. It will not be there if we do not align our system, our calendars, to the calendar of the agriculture. And I think that's fundamental for the discussion today. We also note, even as we are discussing financing, we're discussing gender equality, we're discussing agri-food system, Rwanda continues to impress the world on what they've done on gender equality. And as we know, wherever there's progress, there are always going to be pockets of challenges. And that's why we are here today, to say that those persistent pockets of challenges, what can we do about them? And this is why I feel the financing gap for agri-food systems requires a really serious conversation. We are talking about our own livelihood and existence and the food we depend on. We are talking about our mothers, our aunties, our sisters who are in rural areas, continue to break their backs, but not getting the relevant financing. We are talking about what holds the breath of our children who need to get the real nutrition for them to grow into the adult that we expect. So these are fundamental conversations that are really happening in our midst today. So my call to you today is threefold, and I think this is the important part of what I wanted to share, is to really challenge each and every group of stakeholder of what we want to get out of here. First, to government. The role of government remains essential in strengthening policy and regulatory framework. And I'll even say in Rwanda, it's more about monitoring the implementation of such frameworks because they already exist. Their leadership and advocacy in creating an enabling environment are crucial for empowering women in agri-food systems. So financial institutions, I hope they're here because we cannot have this conversation without them. Financial products must better meet the needs of women entrepreneurs. Your outreach to ensure access and actively participate in innovative financing mechanisms that are designed to serve women farmers and business owners is really key. We've heard about blended financing. We've heard about the need to de-risk because as banks, there are just some certain clients that they're not going to be able to cover given the strict instruments. But development partners have understood this as well. Hence, they provide some resources as a backup so that banks can actually lend to those that they will normally not lend to, and they have a fallback position. But even when they do that de-risking, I think banks still continue to see women in rural areas as a risky a group that they will lend to. That's why the discussions today should be about how do we unlock that? What is it that the banks can actually drop down so that women continue to access this? To our colleague and fellow development partners, let us align our efforts. Let's deepen coordination and mobilize resources that go beyond nationally led priorities. We must translate our insights from today's dialogue into fundable projects that are measurable and that will sustain the action. And to all of us, if you're not part of the government, you're not a development partner, you're not a financial institution, we have civil society organizations, private sector, everybody else here. It is imperative that we listen carefully to the women in rural areas. I haven't looked through the entire program to see where we have spaces for them. This conversation is a dialogue, and it only becomes a dialogue if we give the time to hear from women in rural areas what their experiences are. We've made a big mark by getting them in the room, but the biggest mark is by listening to them and being able to tailor our conversation. And on that note, and on behalf of all my colleagues in the UN, I want to commit again our steadfastly to supporting Rwanda's development journey. Our engagement is informed by many global frameworks as the United Nations, the SDGs, the CEDAW, the Beijing Platform for Action, UN Security Council Resolution 1325, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change continue to serve as the framework that we use as the UN in working closely with the government. And we are very happy that these frameworks are fully aligned with development priorities in Rwanda through the PSTA 5 as well as NST 2. The opportunity before us is to ensure that financing systems and these are both public financial institutions as well as private, really respond to the needs of people. In closing, I wish to again reiterate the United Nations' unwavering support and partnership to the government of Rwanda, our partners, and most importantly, to the resilient women farmers who continue to be the backbone of agricultural sector. Together, we envision agri-food systems that are inclusive, climate resilient, and equitable to all. As we reflect on the theme of financing the future, let the discussions be guided by ambition, accountability, but also scale. I think we have good examples in Rwanda and also across the continent, but the emphasis should be, what is the ambition to take this to levels that are catalytic and at levels that will really show a lot much bigger scale. On that note, and on behalf of all my colleagues, I thank you again for giving me your attention. I wish you a productive and impactful discussions, and umunsi mwiza, as we say in Rwanda. Murakoze.
Thank you so much for such an inspiring address, yet very practical. And while we are at it, allow me to, Doctor, to join us for a group photo, because I would like not to miss. Yes, we are going to have the keynote address later. Allow me to welcome the table 1 and table 2 to join us for a group photo, and then we'll follow up accordingly. Please welcome the table 1 and table 2 join us for a group photo, and then we'll welcome the rest of the audience to join us later on for better protocol. It's okay to block the banner. We are many anyway, and we need to be in the picture. Semicircle. Abandi twajya hano hasi tukegerana. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've seen that many stakeholders that are necessary to be in this room have joined us. So allow me to recognize the presence of the representatives or delegates from the embassies, the European Union, the civil society organizations, and rural women, the participants of GP. And kindly, maybe allow me to speak this in Kinyarwanda. Abantu badashoboye kumva icyongereza, hari udu systems, utu devices turi imbere yanyu ku matable, ku mameza, nudufasha gusemura tuvana mu cyongereza tugashyira mu Kinyarwanda kugira ngo twese tube turi mu cyumba kimwe turi kumwe mu biganiro. So uramutse utari utagacometse kugira ngo wumve, hari team iri hano bari hariya hirya, wamanika akaboko bakagufasha kugira ngo ugacomeke, noneho ube wakumva dukurikirana ikiganiro twese turi mu mwuka umwe, turi kumva ibiganiro mu buryo bumwe. So uramutse ushaka support, hari team hariya yagufasha. And yes, so after hearing and being inspired by the speech of Dr. Fatoumata, it is a great pleasure for me to welcome the Minister of State, Uwituze Solange, as she delivers to us the opening keynote speech. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Your Excellency, the United Nations Resident Coordinator, she just has left, but she was here. Distinguished representatives of UN agencies, government representatives here present, representatives of financial institutions, CEOs, development partners, the private sector, civil society, and academia, and with particular honor, the rural women entrepreneurs, cooperative leaders, community champions among us, excellencies, distinguished guests, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to join you this morning to be part of this dialogue under the theme of financing the future, bridging the gender gap for climate-resilient agri-food systems in Rwanda. Allow me to state from the onset that the government of Rwanda considers women's economic empowerment and financial inclusion not merely as a social objective, but as a strategic investment in national development, agricultural transformation, and economic resilience. Under the Vision 2050, NST2, and our fifth strategy for agriculture transformation, PSTN5, Rwanda has committed to building inclusive, productive, and climate resilient, market-oriented, and inclusive agri-food systems that contribute to food security, job creation, and income for growth for all citizens. The Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources recognizes that achieving these commitments and ambitions will not be possible without unlocking the full potential of women and the youth, who constitute the backbone of Rwanda's agriculture sector. In fact, women represent 79% of the working class involved in agriculture. The ministry, therefore, under its strategy for food security transformation, the PSTF5, prioritizes women empowerment, youth participation, climate-smart agriculture, financial inclusion, entrepreneurship development, and cooperative strengthening, technology adoption, and market integration. This commitment reflects a simple reality. There cannot be sustainable agriculture transformation if majority of our agri-food systems actors, including farmers, remain underserved by financial systems. Talking about farmers, women remain the key players in agricultural production, food security, nutrition, and household welfare. Across Rwanda, they are leading farmers' organizations, managing agribusinesses, adopting climate-smart technologies, and driving innovation within rural communities. Yet, many continue to face constraints in accessing finance, productive assets, insurance products, market and business development services. Closing this gap is not only a matter of equity, it is a matter of economic efficiency. Evidence consistently demonstrates that when women have equal access to productive resources and financial services, agricultural productivity increases. Household incomes also rise, food security improves, and communities become more resilient to climate shocks. This is why the government of Rwanda has continued to invest in programs that enhance women's participation across agricultural value chains through cooperative development, entrepreneurship, promotion, digital agriculture, climate-smart agriculture, extension services, skills development, and financial inclusion initiatives. However, public resources alone will not be sufficient to achieve the scale of transformation envisioned under NST2 and PSTF5. We therefore look at our financial institutions as strategic partners in Rwanda's development journey. I wish to commend the National Bank of Rwanda, commercial banks, development finance institutions, the SACCOs, microfinance institutions, and digital finance providers for the progress achieved thus far in expanding access to financial services. At the same time, though, we must collectively acknowledge that significant opportunities remain untapped. We encourage financial institutions to move beyond conventional lending models and develop innovative financial institutions that respond to the realities of women farmers and agripreneurs. We are going to hear some of them in a future time when they shall be given the floor to speak for themselves, and I hope we'll be ready to listen intentionally. These include affordable agriculture credit, climate risk insurance, digital financial services, blended finance mechanism, guarantee schemes, value chain financing, and tailored investment products that address collateral constraints and seasonal agricultural cycles. Women farmers and women-led enterprises should be viewed not as a high-risk client, but as a viable economic actors and strategic investment opportunities. To our development partners, we express our profound appreciation for your continued support to Rwanda's agriculture transformation agenda. Programs such as RWEE demonstrate the power of coordinated action in addressing systemic barriers faced by rural women. We encourage our partners to continue supporting innovative financing mechanisms, technical assistance, climate adaptation investment, and evidence generation that strengthen women's economic participation and resilience. We particularly call upon development partners to help crowd in greater private sector investment by supporting risk-sharing mechanisms, catalytic financing instruments, and blended finance solutions that can unlock additional resources for women and youth. To the private sector, we encourage stronger integration of women-led enterprises into agricultural value chains through procurement, partnerships, contract farming arrangement, access to technology, and market linkages. Ladies and gentlemen, as we pursue the implementation of NST2 and PSTF5, we must ensure that women and youth are not merely represented in our programs, but are actively shaping policies, influencing investment, and leading innovation within our agri-food systems. Their voices must inform how we design financial products. Their experiences must guide our policy choices, and their enterprises must benefit from our investments. The government of Rwanda remains fully committed to providing an enabling environment through sound policies, institutional coordination, strategic investments, and accountability mechanisms. However, success will ultimately depend on the collective actions we take together. Let us therefore leave this dialogue with concrete commitment. Commitment to increase investment in women-led enterprises, commitment to expand access to climate and agricultural finance, commitment to strengthen women's leadership in agri-food systems, and commitment to generate evidence and track measurable results. Most importantly, commitments that translate into better livelihoods, increased incomes, enhanced food security, and greater resilience for rural women and their families. That is how we will achieve the ambitious vision of 2050, which stipulates that by 2050, we shall be an upper high-income country with a GDP per annum per capita of $12,000 US, and will be around 22 million people, plus 14 million travelers that per annum that will be passing through the Bugesera airport that is near completion. And that is how we deliver NST2 and PSTF5, and that is how we will build a more inclusive, resilient, and prosperous Rwanda. On this note, I wish us a fruitful deliberation, and let there be food in Rwanda. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. In Rwandan culture, we have a way we applaud, and I want to see if we have Rwandan women in the room. Do we have Rwandan women in the room? Can you wave at me, please? Rwandan women. So when we want to applaud to someone, we normally hululate. Aye, like that. Can we do that? Yes, women. 1, 2, 3. Aye. No, you're not doing it like some people who took breakfast. Let's do it again to thank our minister. 1, 2, 3. Aye. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. Allow me to welcome one of the participants from GP Ra to at least do it better than me. Maybe it's the age problem. Reka nakire umwe mu babyeyi baje bari mu participants ba GP kugira ngo aze atwereke uburyo ki bavuza impundu. Nshobora kuba ari uko ntabizi neza cyane. Hari uwaza akagira araje. Okay, reka twakire uri hafi. Ngwino. reka aze atwereke uburyo ki batanga impundu mu buryo bwa kibyeyi, cyane cyane yuko ibiganiro turi kugira ari ababyeyi cyangwa se abamama bo mu cyaro, so barabizi cyane kundusha.
Twebwe ababyeyi bo mu cyaro dutanga impundu, twahagurutse tukagira gutya.
Let us all raise as she shows us. So she said, when we are going to urinate, we stand up and then we raise 3 times as we say it. Can you join us as we do it? There is partners, men in the room. Let us teach you. Let us teach you how we will come and applaud our special guests. So, reka atangire. Let's go down. Thank you so much. I hope when you go back to your countries, you'll be telling them how we have a special way of applauding and thanking the special guests. While we are at it, the minister talked about the importance, the significance of financing the gender equality in climate resilient agri-food systems. So it's a high time for us to have these conversations practically with the people who are involved, the stakeholders, the participants of these programs. So allow me to welcome Dana, who is going to be our moderator for the first panel discussion, which is themed Financing Gender Equality in Climate Resilient Agri-Food Systems, Promising Innovations, Gaps, and Lesson Learned. So Dana, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Waramutseneza. Welcome to this panel on financing gender equality and climate-resilient agri-food systems to deconstruct it into promising innovations, gaps, and lessons learned. It is already a mouthful just from the title. So to help me deconstruct it, I will kindly invite our panelists to join me on the stage. From Global Green Growth Institute, Rwanda, Mr. Richard Ndikunguye, I hope I pronounced it right. From BRD, Mr. Vigil Ngabo. Representing FAO, Mr. Thomas Nemi. And from MIJEPROF, our Director General, Siras Ngaya Bosha. Please welcome. This is a very hard panel for everyone, so I would first start by asking our dear panelists to introduce themselves, trying to make this panel as interactive as possible. Please introduce yourself, Dr. Richard.
Thank you very much, Madam Tseneza. My name is Richard Ndichunguye, not Kunguye.
Sorry.
Ndichunguye. Yeah, I know it's difficult. I work with the Global Green Growth Institute. It is known as GGGI or Triple GI. It's an intergovernmental and treaty-based organization. We have been in Rwanda since 2012. I know many or some of the people don't know GGGI yet, because when we started our work, we were more into the cities, green cities. But all over time, we have been now shifting or even moving into areas such as climate-smart agriculture, sustainable landscapes, and gender equality is one of our key thematic areas, and in all our work we do, we make sure that gender equality and social inclusion is not only mainstreamed, but also integrated, and make sure that it leads to the transformation. So, in GGGI, I am the adaptation and green cities focal person, but also in charge of gender equality and social inclusion. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you, Mr. Vigil.
Good morning. My name is Virgil Ngabo. I work for BRD, Development Bank of Rwanda. I'm here representing the CEO, who was not able to make it today. I am the manager for Green Finance and Advisory Services. And as Development Bank, we lead sustainable finance solutions, including green finance and climate resilient financing. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Thomas?
Good morning, moderator and fellow panelists, the audience. I'm Thomas Ameng from Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. When we talk about food and agriculture, it cuts across all the sectors: land, water, forestry, and so on, and the people that are involved in food production. So in a nutshell, that's the sectors we worked in. I worked as the resource mobilization lead, program design, but also agriculture extension. Good to join the team this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Silas Ngayabosya. I work for the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion, MIGEPROF, as Director General in charge of Gender Equality Promotion and Women's Empowerment. We are in charge of developing policies and national strategies around gender, women empowerment, around children, child protection and child rights promotion, as well as GBV prevention, and then we coordinate all stakeholders. We have that mandate of coordinating all stakeholders around those themes in the country. Thank you.
Thank you. A big round of applause to our panelists as I join them, and we can start the discussion. Thank you again for being here. We will try to keep this discussion very practical. We have people in the room who are on the policy level, on the financing level, on the food systems, but we mostly also have people on the ground. So let's keep this discussion relevant to everyone. And I will start as we move into the discussion. I will invite each panelist to share the brief reflections reflecting their organization's view on the topics we will address. Thank you. To begin, it would be helpful to hear what women are facing on the ground. I will start with FAO. From FAO's experience, what are the biggest barriers preventing women farmers and agri-entrepreneurs, which we have here in the room, from benefiting fully from climate-resilient agri-food systems?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I think the setup for the panel is quite interesting because it's the four gender that is going to talk about this topic. And for me, that's going to be the starting point because that's where the transformation also have to...
But still moderated by women.
Exactly. Well, I think the Honorable Minister alluded to this earlier about the progress that Rwanda as a country has made in regards to women empowerment and really access, to productive assets that stimulates engagement in agri-food system. But I will focus on basically three key areas that we think is pertinent to these discussions. The first one is the issue on land tenure insecurity, because when we talk about agri-food system, land is involved, okay? Because that is the main factor in production. Now, when you look at land tenure insecurity, accessibility by the women farmers is great, because we talk about around, I think statistically, around 95%, which is slightly even more than accessibility by men, which is roughly around 94%. But remember, we talk about access. So access does not normally translate into control, how this land has to be utilized, and what need to be grown on it. And I think that is where there's still a bit of work that needs to be done. Because we talk about accessibility, but this does not really translate into how this need to be effectively used into agriculture, production and productivity. Now, of course, we know this access is controlled a lot by social norms that varies across different communities, but also their household dynamics, you know, from one household to one household. So we're talking about a multi-layers of situations. First of all, we're talking about, you know, the general norm within a community or society that influences, especially accessibility by certain gender group, you know, how they can utilize some of these productive assets. And then we're talking about when you zoom now closer into household, then you realize that the dynamics between household members, and in this case, husband and wife. Okay, yes, the wife has got access, but then if there's a decisions on how investments, or they need to plant certain crop varieties, or maybe acquire certain assets, which in this case should be climate smart in nature because this requires investment. You find that then that the limitations and the constraints on how an individual woman farmer alone may not be able to make that decision. So you find that then these two layers actually, you know, in a nutshell begins to affect how a woman farmer is able, even though they have access to it, to really scale up in terms of production, because we talk about applying climate smart practices and technology. So some of these require attending trainings or acquiring new knowledge or investing in irrigation and other practices. So those are the limitations that will come in, and I will talk about it shortly. The second area, which is of course linked again to the first one, is the limited access to agriculture extensions and financial services. We all know that, of course, when extension services are designed, it targets every single farmer, okay? But that's by design. I've worked personally in that area for quite a long time. But then now when the clients who are the farmers come, you do not most times receive the same statistics you expect. Okay, sometimes of course you get more women, or sometimes you find maybe less men. But there are a lot of reasons that really limit this kind of participations. Number one, and this is linked to the third one that I'm going to say. If you design a training, let's say on climate smart agriculture using, and the training is in another district, a majority of the participants may need to travel to attend that training, okay? But then we know that sometimes the decision for a lady in a house to go and attend a training may not necessarily depend on their own decision. The husband need to sanction it, or you know, because this is now the household dynamics that we mentioned. So it's now, even though a female farmer sees this as a good opportunity, you know, to give them a full empowerment to apply some of these technologies. But the decision that they need to make is not on their own. You know, it has to be influenced by another person. The other second issue is even application of when they acquired the training. We know that most of the agriculture extension messages that we give, for a farmer to be able to apply, most often they need to also make an investment, okay? You tell a farmer it's a good idea to improve the breed of a dairy cow. This improved breed of a dairy cow, it needs resources, okay? You tell a farmer you need to plant kerikezo, which is an improved variety of potato. They need to buy these improved seeds. You tell a farmer you need to irrigate the crops when the situation is not good. They need to invest in solar irrigation facilities. So this requires a bit of investment. Now, this could be, you see, they have access to land, but to be able to utilize this land more effectively, there's a stimulating factor, which they may not have control over it 100%. So these are all additional layers that may not be seen, you know, but there are situations that women farmers, you know, face on a daily basis. And I'm happy my colleagues from BRD is here when it comes around, you know, the financial services. Of course, we have seen very good progress in regards to access to financial services. But when you look at in terms of the conditions, the requirements for a farmer to access the financial facilities, you find that some of those conditions they cannot meet because they have access to land, but then if that land is required as collateral, you know, they are not able to produce the evidence. Most interestingly is, if you look at in most cases in the rural communities, there's this what they call the community saving groups, VSLAs. You know, you may find that almost over 75% of those groups, the treasurers, the people who are entrusted to keep those monies collected, they're actually women, okay? A great majority. And yet women are not trusted enough that if they take the funds, they will be able to pay it back, you get? So, you know, these are all issues. Of course, I mean, they are instruments that I believe that the financial institutions uses to be able to make that assessment. But some of these realities really does not resonate on the facts on the ground. The last point that I want to make is, you know, what is becoming very popular is the burden of unpaid, you know, work that most women normally face. And of course, all of us, you know, even though we are grown up, but we have ever been children, you probably watched at home growing up that your mom or your sisters runs around the house the whole day, you know, taking care of young children, making sure there's water, making sure there's food, cleaning the house, and so on. So even without looking at the statistics, you would know that, okay, I think if I'm the only man in this house and then the rest are ladies, they're actually spending much more time. And combined, by the way, because this involves all of them. That does not mean, I mean, the men doesn't do other work, but we're talking about, you know, these are things that they're doing, of course, for the care of the family that take a bigger proportion of their time that they would actually also use it for other productive activities, you know, including, you know, child care, food preparation, you know, collecting, fetching water and so on, which is, the scenario may be different in the urban area, okay? But if the majority of our farmers, the smallholder farmers, they're in the rural areas, and these are the realities that they face really on a daily basis. So, to conclude, the unpaid, for example, like I think statistically in Rwanda, we're talking about 7 hours, women, you know, of their time involved into these activities, and men only 2. So you can see the variance is almost 5 hours. And most of us who do normal office work, you also spend about 8 hours. And then we also know that out of the about 70% of the workforce in agriculture, a majority again are from the women. So you can see the burden that they have, because in addition to the 7 hours, they also need to probably wake up early, be in agriculture land, and so on. So, of course, this would limit, they would have to do an extra to really ensure that their participation in the agriculture sector is more effective. And when we now zoom this really to the climate smart agriculture, as I highlighted earlier, if you combine all these factors, you know, we talked about the land tenure insecurity, we talked about access to extension services and financial service, and then the unpaid work. You know, these are all accumulative burden that overall would actually affect the women farmers in an unfair way to effectively really participate and uptake climate smart agriculture practices and overall agri-food system. Of course, when you talk about agri-food system, the bottom line is the production. If you do not produce, it means you cannot process. If you do not produce, you cannot export. If you cannot produce, you cannot add value. And that affects the overall employment opportunities along the value chain. So the production bottom line, and that's where, of course, you can apply the climate smart practices, you know, at all levels. But the critical ones, when you talk about improved seeds, improved breeds, conservation agriculture, climate smart agriculture, irrigation and water management, land management, these are all pertinent issues that directly affect agriculture productivity. So I think, let me end here, probably, and then we'll get back again maybe in the next segment of this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Before we end with you, thank you for bringing the different problems. You mentioned land tenure, you mentioned access to extension and financial services, which is limited, and the burden of unpaid work. From your work on the ground with FAO, you have also mentioned climate smart agriculture, and I know this is a big area that we're all now venturing in. What are the different components and what are different solutions or lessons that you have observed on the ground that can help us reduce all these challenges, especially when they come interconnected together, and they're often interconnected and then expanded when they are all combined?
Okay, yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, I highlighted, of course, those three bottlenecks. So basically, we need to unwind them now, okay? We look at them from the other side. But what I want to say is that within the agriculture sector, we have this rule of thumb that there's no single solutions that really solves, everything. We need to look at solutions as a package of interventions because they work hand in hand. And the whole idea is that because you want to create a complementarity between solutions, okay? Now, of course, in most of the programming and interventions, we need to look at interventions that are transformative in nature. Transformative in the sense that first of all, you need to understand the context for which we are able to really support women farmers in a fair way starts by understanding the situation that they face. And the situation that they face sometimes is actually outside their own context. So if I go to a community and I want to understand some of the gender dynamics, I do not just talk to the female farmers. I need to talk to both female and male farmers to understand how that works. We conduct analysis together to see some of these burdens. We're talking about the 7 and the 2 hours, They may not see it, but we put it on a chart. Then we're able to see it together, then derive solutions. Well, I may have an understanding, of what really needs to work, but then this we need to discuss with them so that, there's what we call technology ladder. There should be a bottom line where you start so that you continue to build and unpack the challenges. Then number 2, the design of the different packages. I'll talk about the extension services and also the access to finance. I mentioned that when you introduce alternative means by which farmers are able to increase their productivity, either through improved seeds, improved breeds, and so on, most of these require investment. And the investment they need, it may go beyond their own household capacity to acquire. They may have the interest. They understand the means. So improving means by which rural or overall women farmers are able to access financial services in a better, fair, inclusive way is an important aspect that can unlock their potential to actually increase their, not just visibility, but participation in the entire agriculture sector. And the last one I would say is because we talked about accessing extension services and finance. Most of this empowerment is a process. It's not a one day, it's not a one day process. You unlock one opportunity, you create one, a situation. It's really the exposure. Exposure in the sense that if a woman farmer has got options on how they're able to really increase their participation in agriculture sector, and they also know which optional climate smart agriculture technologies and practices they are able to uptake. And then they will have the liberty to also make the decisions on which one is best fitted, for them. So in a nutshell, the really key solutions is, first of all, we need to empower the raw farmers, expose them to the different technologies that they understand. And when we are empowering them, we don't just target them alone, but also the forces behind the decision making is critical so that everybody understand. And then provide the means, the vehicles. And this comes with, of course, very importantly, the financial access that they need to be able to scale up the investment. I want to conclude by giving you one example about a female farmer in Rwagingo, in Gatsibo, that I personally visited her households and then had a chat with the husband. And then the husband mentioned about the hard decision one time when we invited his wife to attend a training in Ihuye for 2 weeks. And he had to make a decision to take care of the children and run all the affairs. But he accepted it. It was not easy. But he does not regret ever making such a decision in his life because the wife became a breadwinner. Her skills in agriculture production increased tremendously. She generates as a household a lot of income. She's able to diversify. She grows horticulture crops, chili, cabbages, onions, but also they established an enterprise on mushroom production, and they're able to sell it to a nearby refugee center. So you can imagine the opportunity that comes with just unlocking one sense. But then it's not just one solution, it's a package of solutions. So that's what I really wanted to emphasize. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. This gives us the perfect transition to move on one of the most important, I think, problems that you also touched upon, access to finance. So I will move to BRD and Mr. Vigil. Building on what was presented by Thomas and the interconnected barriers that women face, the financing options available and how climate finance, I'm sorry about that. So building on those interconnected barriers, we focus on access to finance. From BRD's perspective, what still makes it difficult for women-led agribusinesses access to finance? I'm sorry. And what is being done to address these? Sorry again for this.
Thank you very much. Let's make it difficult. So at BRD, I think most of the people does not know the difference between development bank, BRD, and other commercial banks. So we are a development bank, we're a development financial institution, and we do provide different financing solutions like any other banks. But we have different priority sectors that we focus on as a development bank, given the mandate. But we also do, part of the mandate that we have, part of the priority sectors that we finance includes agriculture. And as in agriculture, we also noticed that, as you said, there are different barriers to access to finance, especially for women. And what's make it more difficult is, like any other underserved segment of the population, we noticed that there are several barriers, including, of course, collateral barrier. But when we talk about the barriers, the first thing that everyone think about is collateral. But at BRD, what we noticed is collateral is not the first challenge for women or any other client. But there is issue of financial literacy and investment readiness, which at BRD we are currently working on. We are working with different partners, development finance partners. We are working with business development service providers, to actually tackle all those challenges. But the biggest one is actually tailored products. So when we were doing our surveys across our portfolio, different clients, what they actually told us is banks, including Development Bank, do not have tailored products for women. So when we say tailored products, we tend to try to tailor it to just women, understanding the challenges that women face. But it is actually beyond actually understanding women. So it's actually understanding their needs as women. So women have different needs, but again, this depends on the kind of business they are. So some are in primary production, processing, post-harvest. So all those segments have different needs. So tailoring products to their needs means understanding actually which value chain they are in. So for example, we are working on a tailored product that we are currently testing. So it's under testing. We have several, but one is it's just for women-led and women-owned businesses. And when we were designing the products, we were privileged to meet some of the women entrepreneurs. And the first thing they said is, again, collateral. So when we went deeper to understand what do we mean by collateral, because most women, like also men, they have access to asset, but it went beyond understanding that it's just asset, but it also how they actually the historical background of women accessing land, properties, and everything. But again, what we noticed is even if they have those collaterals, they don't have products that are ready that are bankable, And for banks, banks are regulated by the central bank. Compliance is mandatory. So we went ahead understanding, yes, if there is now collateral, we have different risk-sharing mechanisms. We have guarantees. Since we acquired BDF, the issue of collateral is not now a very big challenge, either for women or youth. But now the issue of having bankable projects, it is a very big issue. So what we are currently working on under that product that I mentioned, is how now do we support women to actually have a bankable project, be able to prepare the applications, actually having all requirements. So the requirements include even, so what we noted is women tend to go to banks when they have the need, like I need a loan, maybe I've got a land, then I want to, but that's not why it starts actually. So what we said, let's now take them through the kind of coaching and mentorship, because access to finance means you need to be actually get ready before you need the financing, the actual financing. Because like any other relationship, having a relationship with the financial institution, it means, building the trust, having records, having an account that is active. So all those factors are combined. Maybe we'll talk about other products that you mentioned. But another challenge that I wanted to mention is actually even the confidence, women having confidence approaching banks. So when we launched our products, because of the benefits that are embedded in the products, even the women, a big number of projects that were actually called women-led or women-owned, they were for men, actually. So they were for men only because there are some, benefits embedded. Men were coming, pretending to be, representing. Yes. Yeah, so there's several challenges, but also there are some solutions that we are working on, including having tailored products.
Thank you for telling us that there are many products being developed, but for the women present here today with us, who, as you rightly mentioned, are afraid of approaching banks, how do you encourage them to approach banks? And if they want to start, where is a practical, and what is a practical way for them to start?
Thank you. So at BLD, we have different tailored products, as I was saying. What we what we did, so having tailored product actually means it starts from the top level of the institution. Like we have strategy. In 2024, BRD revised its strategy to actually incorporate a commitment to finance women. Like 30% of our portfolio wants it to be women-led project. So the next step was to actually now tailor products. So we have a product that's women-led. So what it means, we are working with different partners to reach out to specific women in rural areas. We've launched some of of course we need to work with different business development service providers, and in the next month we plan to actually reach out to all across the country, provinces, for the awareness of this product. We first met with people, women in different association, private sector, to actually promote the product. So the product is called Shabuka, and it has a collateral reduction. Usually the collateral is, between, you have to have like 100% or 150, but we say it because we understand the challenges to access to finance for women. We said a collateral can be as low as 15%. We said contribution is also one of the barriers that we identified, that even contribution can be as low as 10%. We also said guarantees, because guarantees, we understand the collateral issue that we said. We said we can work with different guarantee schemes. Of course, we have BDF now in BRD, but there are other guarantee providers. We said we will work with different guarantee schemes, and then from BRD's money, we will actually cater for the cost related to guarantees. And beyond that, we said we first need to educate women to actually get ready, have those bankable projects. That is why actually in the next month or in the next 2 months, we will go out across the country doing awareness of the product, reaching out to women in rural areas, promoting the product and how they can actually access it. So we're focusing on private sectors, including agriculture. So when we say agriculture, we mean all the value chain related. But again, that's one product that we are doing. So actually having one product, implementing it, it takes time. It has to be intentional, and then it also requires some commitment of the management. So the second product that we are trying actually to test on the market, we are grateful to work with partners like MasterCard, actually helping us reach out to women and youth, especially in rural areas. And we are trying to tailor a product that actually includes digital application where women in rural areas can actually access services, loans through agents. So there are different areas, so that you can either work through SACCOs or MFIs or through agents that have the capability of actually onboarding those ones through the digital. So the product will include insurance, include the guarantee, will include capacity building, and it's really working well, and we believe with the support of other different partners, we'll be able to actually scale up those products. Thank you.
Thank you. The packages are ready, so in a 2 months' time, I think be ready for more information on the field. Building on this point to access to finance, we can now look at climate finance, which is gaining increasing attentions in different countries, including Rwanda, of course, as countries move into investing in resilience. So how can we ensure that finance reaches practical solutions on the ground? From your perspective, Mr. Richard, what are the climate finance priorities explained and committed to by the government on Rwanda that translate on the ground in better support for women and local actors on the ground?
Thank you very much. It's a kind of difficult question, but I will try to respond it from GGGI experience from at least 2 projects we have implemented so far. One was around building an app readiness at the grassroots. And this was a project that was funded by the Green Climate Finance, which actually was intended to understand what are the real issues on the ground and how can we build the readiness, build resilience against climate change impact, and who suffer the most. And through that project, we did a thorough assessment on gender equality and social inclusion. And we'll see that local farmers, mostly the low income, suffer a lot when it comes to climate change hazards that happen due to different reasons. One being on how our land is being used and the Rwandan terrain. You know that Rwanda is a country of 1,000 hills. And this means that most of our settlements are on the top of the hills, and the farming is happening downstream. And all the issues that happen upstream, go to affect the downstream, and that's the farming. And those are the farmers that suffer the most. And the bigger part of these are women. So from there, we'll see that there is a need to actually build resilience among those farmers around how do you prepare for this? Are you aware of the disasters that come along with the climate change? But also, how do we make sure that there is a sustainability when it comes to livelihood? Because most of these all their livelihood depend on their daily activities, which is farming. The other one is the other project we did last year. It was an AI-powered tool that we built. I think you remember. It is called JC Index and Simulation Tool. This is actually a tool that we developed to help track how the NDC interventions are contributing to transforming the lives of the people on the ground, the communities. And this is one of the gaps the country have. Today we are discussing financing, but it all comes from a complex system. So now the question is around connecting the policies, the strategies, the interventions, and how do we implement those really needed actions on the ground to transform the lives of the communities. And this is where, as GGGI, we see that the government, together with different stakeholders, partners, need to put some efforts in building systems that gather the data, because one of the gaps is the data. Today we are saying women are, let's say, disadvantaged in this section, but do we really know the numbers? Or do we really know what the real issue? So if we are able to strengthen those systems, gather the data on a daily or a regular basis, then we know exactly where are the issues, and we know exactly which financing tools we need to deploy on the ground to respond to the needs. Yeah, and my fellow was talking about the products they are developing, and I think these products being developed will have to be informed by the data, yeah. Briefly, this is it. Thank you.
Thank you. When we talk a little bit about climate finance, it is a little bit high level, and maybe not accessible to us who work on the ground and to our farmers, but also our partners. So what do you think is one change that can be made that can make it more accessible, or make this link to make it better?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would say that there are three main shifts that need to be done. One is to simplify, try the best and simplify the requirements or the access to the financing, schemes available. And it was well explained that there are different barriers, and one of it is collaterals or even the capacity to develop projects that are really going to fulfill the requirements. So there is need for capacity empowerment, but also simplify those requirements in a way that make it easy for the people in need to access it. The other one is to also work with different partners who are working with the government, like GGI, to mobilize external finance. And we know many funding agencies that are providing climate finance. And if we work together, I think there is a room to open up windows for this. The other one is to strengthen the financial inclusion. Yes, he was talking about producing tailored, made products that are targeting women, but in a way that really respond to those targeted people, because we know that there are people who take advantage, especially business people. When there is an opportunity, they are the ones to tap into that. And some of those products would also include the microfinance. These are mainly the ones that are really close to the people. Climate insurance, those the farmers who get affected by climate change, how are they insured? Because many of them don't really have enough means to get insurance, normal insurance. Then the last is to continuously engage them in whatever initiatives happening. Sometimes we tend to think for them, plan for them, but we don't plan and work with them for the products that are going to help them transform their lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is actually very interesting. Simplify request, work with partners, and strengthen inclusion. I think it's a recipe for success for all of our projects, and I thank you for coherently putting them together. We have heard about the barriers women face. We have heard about financing options and how climate finance can better reach the ground. To bring all these pieces together, we turn to MIGEPROF, our policies and inclusive agency, to coordinate all these perspectives. We know Rwanda has strong commitments on gender equality. From MIGEPROF's perspective, what needs to happen next to turn these commitments into more concrete investments for women and communities, in your views?
Thank you so much. I've been part of, I guess, a lot of panels, but the flow of this one has been different. We used to start by policymakers and then go to the implementing agencies, so I liked the flow.
It's good to change.
Yeah, it's good to change. So policymakers, it's not only about policies, but also initiating laws, although they are promulgated through Parliament. It's also about developing national strategies. I believe to address this, I would maybe share what the national gender policy and the national, the AFAWA strategy. You know that Rwanda has customized AFAWA strategy, affirmative financing, affirmative finance, access for finance women in Africa, and we even have a recently developed women and girls access to finance strategy. So all of these national strategies or national schemes, I think they provide for the guidelines through which we can better deliver to access to finance, but not only that, through different, again, sectors, including even climate change, including agriculture and others. So to close the gap between national commitments and real public and private investments in gender responsive, climate resilient agri-food systems. Rwanda, I think you might have gone through these national documents, and you will see that they seek to move beyond just policy intention to investment disciplines. For instance, starting by the gender policy, the national gender policy, you will see that it is built into planning or engendering the planning and the budgeting processes and the promoting accountability. So it also provides for budgeting, yes, the planning and budgeting, but also the performance systems, kind of tackles the performance systems. If you will see that it calls for gender mainstreaming across all sectors, including agriculture. We are grateful that Minagri has had its gender mainstreaming strategy for quite maybe 6 years. I think they are revising it already. They are revising. The first generation has ended and they are revising it. Finance, they are working on their own, but also climate. In the climate sector, I think they have some documents guiding or providing for the pathways to gender mainstreaming, and even the private sector, they also have their own. And all these documents or frameworks, you see that they provide for how clearly women farmers, for instance, cooperatives and agri-SMEs will also benefit or will be included, if I may say. For instance, districts, if you go to district agriculture plans, you will see that these frameworks also suggest them to include targets on women's access to inputs, irrigation, extension, post-harvest, so the whole value chain. So that was one. And secondly, for public finance, has to be used to unlock private finance. So to me, this is very key, because if you go through AFAWA, Affirmative Finance Action for Women Africa, It is AFD, African Development Bank initiative, but countries have been trying to customize this, including Rwanda. So you will see that women find access to finance approaches should work with banks. I think BRD talked about this, SACCOs and even a guarantee schemes to reduce, to work, not only to reduce, but to work around collateral barriers. So barriers in the ecosystem of collaterals, working on it, and design, of course, products for women-led agribusinesses and support climate-smart investments. So I want back to women-tailored products, because BRD packaged it very well. And you would see that loans these documents suggest that loan should not only target women cooperatives, investing in, not only cooperatives around finance, but also some other inputs like solar dryers, improved storage, for instance, and irrigation, agro-processing equipment, like the clean cooking technologies and climate resilient seeds. So thirdly, it's about institutions that must take or make gender responsive investment measurable from public institutions like ministries and districts. And you would see that even in the mandate of the Office of Auditor General Office, today it's not only about money spent, but it's also about who benefits, and who benefits, of course, entails men, women, but also different categories of men, and so the diversity of women, again, different categories of women. And you would see that practical indicators to include the number of women accessing agricultural loans, for instance, are encouraged indicators that help or inform even the programming, but also that are used in the follow-up. So fourth, it's capacity building. I think the previous speakers talked about this. I can see sustainable growers in the room. I hope BRAC could also be here. In 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, I happened to visit their activities on the ground, whereby they start by training and identification of the project, women's, to work, to journey with women to identify the projects they have aspirations to, but also that are responding to their potentials. And I liked the quote from one of the women. It is a 6-month training, and not only a training for individual women, but also a training for even the entire family, because in one way or another, the family support the success or the failure of, or contribute to the success or failure of the targeted woman. So the quote was, after 5 months of training, yes, I had the intention of getting money, but after 5 months of the training supported me gaining money even before they gave me money. So capacity building is really very key, where many women and girls need more than credit. So they need more than just having money, but also business development support. I think the previous speakers talked about this, and financial literacy, and as well as digital skills, climate smart agriculture training, mentorship, and market linkages. And finally, I think it's strengthening partnerships. again, I happened to learn from my visit to BRAC and sustainable growers that the linkages to other banks, because they have been training what we can call our beneficiaries, but they ended up, because of the gained skills, having skills for developing bankable project to go and seek money elsewhere. So to me, this is key to convene, why not only at a national level, but convening financial institutions, private sector actors, development partners, civil society and women organizations around joint investment pipelines, of course in a bid to transforming policies into concrete investments that increase women's productivity, resilience or income, and leadership in agri-food systems. I think these are just a summary of what these mainly three documents suggest, but they are on BGProf websites, and they are there to inform our programming. Sometimes we don't need to go dig deep into the issues because these documents provide already the starting situation. Maybe I would say, how do we make sure that this gets done? It's through different forums, including the National Gender and the Families Cluster. I mean, encompassing all different stakeholders, but focusing on mainly those at strategic level, but also different subclusters within that. Among them, what I am delegated to chair, the Gender and Equality and the Women Empowerment subcluster, where we have a set of around 60 stakeholders meeting regularly each quarter, and even whenever needed, to exchange and to align our strategies to the needed needs, identified needs from the ground to national level. Thank you.
Thank you. You have actually answered my follow-up question without me asking it on how we come together. But maybe I will ask for one main takeaway that we can all put into practice in translating all these policies into work. If we have one word, one keyword that you want to send to everyone, from the families, the women, the actors on the ground, up to the policy, what is our main takeaway, and how can we work all together from your perspective? And how can we help translate your policies into actual financing on the ground?
Yeah, I hope it's not because of time constraints, but I will also say that in pursuing women economic full and meaningful participation, we should underline this, full but also meaningful participation into economic empowerment. The gender sector, I mean, the gender machinery, pursue a dual approach, and I hope this would be the takeaway. Removing systemic barriers and removing social-cultural barriers. And by systemic barriers or structural barriers, beside, of course, the legal and the policy framework, we work to again guarantee women equal rights to own, inherit, and control land and other productive assets through, of course, all these policy frameworks, because efforts have to also focus on increasing the access to financial services, entrepreneurship support and digital finance skills development and market opportunities. But again, on these social cultural level barriers, we all know, and I think the previous speaker on my left clearly highlighted that we all know that access to finance is most of the time in our patriarchal society influenced by social norms definition. It is indeed influenced by unequal care responsibilities in the households and even the surrounding community. It is also influenced by decision-making dynamics. So I think this, if you even take it as a cycle, if I'm not involved into, for instance, designing into the project we are going to be implementing as a family, if I don't decide on what we are going to do, if I'm not involved in, I don't have a role in deciding on the use of the harvest, I won't be motivated in getting involved into the production again. So decision-making dynamics within the household and communities, so they also influence a lot this access to finance. And this is why we, of course, we should continue to invest into transformative approaches that engage both men and women and promote even positive masculinities that should engage men as allies in all these processes, and address also unpaid care work and encourage decision-making over resources and investments. So in all, to ensure, of course, create an environment where women confidently participate in and benefit from economic opportunities. Otherwise, the efficiency of our intervention, of our use of the budget would be questionable. Thank you.
Thank you. I will go back to your full and meaningful participation to splendidly close this panel and really make us reflect on how we can fully and meaningfully participate and improve women's participation in climate-resilient agri-food systems through gender-responsive financing. Thank you to all panelists, but we are now closed, but we will open for a short session of Q&A. If someone has any questions to the panelists, and please feel free. And thank you again for your participation.
As Dana just mentioned, let's give a round of applause to the panelists who shared. Thank you so much. Who shared an inspiring and practical insights and recommendations. But I recognize that we are with many stakeholders in this room. So having your insights, your recommendations, or comments to what they said is really key to this dialogue. So due to time, I will only maybe create 2 slots. So quick ones, brief, tell us your name and your comment or the question and who you address it to, so that we can be able to keep time and go through other activities. So anyone, please raise your hand and then the team will reach out to you. We have one ready already there in the back. So please go ahead.
Okay,
Briefly.
thank you. My name is Mediatrice from Bank of Kigali. I'm coming from the Department of Agribusiness. I don't have any question. I have come with the solution to the challenge raised by the panelists. The Bank of Kigali is committed to unlock access to finance for women in agriculture and all of Rwandans. They have talked about the security issue, and we have built a product designed for cooperatives. And most of the women are in cooperatives, so that it is for them to access to finance. We have the facility, the loan from 50 million up to 250 million that are unsecured. That does not require the collaterals. So it's for everyone in the room to join the bank and ask more clarification about this. We have also an unsecured facility up to 5 million for the supplier of milk for different MCCs. Regarding the limited access to extension services and access to finance, we provide training through the TV program we have at TV10 every Saturday from 3 p.m. up to 10, and every Monday from 9 p.m. up to 4 p.m. The main purpose of the program is to educate the farmers, especially women in agri sectors, the available products, the financial literacy, and what is a bankable project look like. So I encourage every woman in the room to attend the show and to participate. It's up to them to request online. We have an option to send message. I think if we continue to keep in touch, we will come up with a good solution, and we'll provide the available product everywhere in cooperatives, in the Union of Cooperatives. Maybe for more clarification, they can go to our branches, they can reach out to me after this discussion. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier when we were starting, I said it's a very powerful convene because we have people with the reach to the women. We also have partners who have solutions, and BK Bank of Kigali is one of them. Thank you so much. Okay, let's have the lady over there, and if we have someone in this end, please team be close to them with the microphone. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Josiane Nyiramgisha from Peace and Development Network. We are an NGO that is promoting peace building and development in different projects. Thank you, panelists, for presenting about women, gender responsive in financing. Coming to decision making, who is deciding at household level? Maybe I wanted to come up with female-headed household and male-headed household, access to finance, utilization, and decision-making. How female-headed household and male-headed household coming to promotion of male-headed household, trying to gender equality, gender balance, how if a woman gets the financing from the bank, and then the decision is being taken by the man. So that difference is how women are going to empower those women, and the husbands are the ones to take decisions. Yes, I came from the bank. I have 5M, but my husband is going to decide. So at some point, the empowerment needs to go beyond what we are saying here and reach at that point. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If Dana permits us, can we take 2 more questions, maybe? Do we have some questions or comments, feedback in the room? Seems like they are all aligned with what we are saying, what the panel said. I'll hand over to you to close for us, but I will also request the panelists to first take a photo before they exit to their seating areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll just close by saying thank you to the panelists, to the engaging conversation. I know it has been a bit hard on the questions and to bring all the facts from the ground to easy communication. I hope everyone benefited at least from key takeaways and reflections, and we will all go back knowing what we can do better to more and more empower women, as the lady just said. So thank you. Thank you.
You're not responding to the question. You're not responding to the question.
As they exit the stage for a group photo, we are going to have 5 minutes. We're going to have 5 minutes break. We've seated for a bit while. So if you want to stretch, go outside to take some fresh air, use the washrooms, this is the time. We are counting from 11:15, so we have 5 minutes to do that. We okay? 5 minutes break. DJ can raise sound, and then abantu bakiri hanze reka twinjire kugira ngo dutangire, iminota 5 yacu yarangiye. To those who are still outside, please make your way to the room so that we can proceed. We are going to be starting in a few seconds, so those who are outside, please join us in the room. Welcome back to the auditorium. We are going to be proceeding with our high-level policy dialogue today. Hello. Hello. The first panel was talking about financing, so I'm going to use this icebreaker to ensure that we are still in the same spirit and we are ready to kick off the next activities. So if you can hear me, I'm going to be saying cash as you say money, and if I say money, you say cash. Are we ready? Are we ready? If I say cash, you say money, and if I say money, you say cash. Are we ready? That will confirm with me that we are ready to kick off the next session. So money, money, cash, money, cash, 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 money, cash, money. Good, good, good. Thank you so much. We are going to be paying attention to our screens as we get to understand the impact joint program on rural women's empowerment, economic empowerment has been establishing. So the people on the sound, are we ready? Please, let's pay attention to the screens as we get to watch this documentary.
In Rwanda, a transformative global initiative is empowering rural women as leaders in their households, communities, and society at large. Supported by the Gates Foundation, Norway, and Sweden, the joint program on accelerating progress towards rural women's economic empowerment, RWEE, brings together 4 UN agencies: FAO, IFAD, UN Women, and WFP, alongside the government of Rwanda, to enhance the livelihoods, rights, Resilience of Women in Agriculture. Implemented in 5 districts, Gisagara, Kirehe, Ngoma, Nyamasheke, and Nyaruguru, the program focuses on 4 key goals: improving food security and nutrition, increasing income and economic autonomy, strengthening women's voice and leadership, and promoting gender-responsive policies. To date, the program directly reaches 9,000 smallholder farmers, 80% of whom are women. This joint program is not just about development. It's about ensuring that rural women are active agents of change, contributing to sustainable growth and to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Ubuzima twari turimo ntabwo bwari ubuzima bunejeje. Ntabwo nari nzi guhinga, ibyo kurya byabaga bike.
Muri aka kagari kacu habaga abana benshi barwaye bwaki, batazi uburyo bw'imirire.
Igihe cyo guhinga ibigori cyarageraga, igihe kikazakurengana cyo guhinga bitewe n'uko utaragwiza intabire yo gutera ibigori.
Nari ndi wa muntu wari ufite imyumvire itari myiza, nabanaga n'umugore mu makimbirane adashira.
Twari abagore twibera mu rugo, tuzi yuko ikintu cyose tuzatugikemurirwa n'abagabo bacu.
Mu rugo twari tuzi ko imirimo yose hari umugore.
In the heart of rural Rwanda, agriculture is more than a livelihood. It is a lifeline. To strengthen this vital sector, the joint program empowers women farmers through innovative, climate-resilient agricultural practices. Comprehensive trainings, such as the Farmer Field and Life School model, are combined with strategic agricultural investments and peer learning through study tours. These initiatives equip women with the knowledge and tools needed to adopt climate-resilient farming techniques. In a world increasingly affected by climate change, these skills are essential, not only to sustain crop yields, increase productivity, and ensure family nutrition, but also to safeguard livelihoods and build a future where rural women can thrive amid uncertainty.
The Rural Women Economic Empowerment Program is a very important program that we are co-implementing in Rwanda with UN agencies and the government. This is a multi-stakeholder initiative that aims to break barriers that have been obstructing women's effective participation in agri-food system. So we work to promote women's effective participation using a multi-sectoral approach, bringing together the economic, the social, and also the policy level interventions to ensure that an environment is created that actually allows women to use the opportunities within the context to be effective. Bampaye amahugurwa twiga gukoresha ifumbire y'imvaruganda n'imborera n'ishwagara, turabyiga turabimenya, ubu turahinga tukagaburira abana tugasagurira n'amasoko.
Namenye neza kubungabunga ubutaka, twamenye kwizigama. Ubwo twamenye no kujya mu matsinda no kuguza no gukoresha amafaranga neza. Akarima k'imboga ndagafite, twamenye kwiga indyo yuzuye, ubwo natwe turayikoresha mu rugo iwacu.
Bamuguye ku ndyo yuzuye. Wasangaga nita ku mwana nkumva ngo umuneke n'umwana ngifuka ni y'umwana, ariko baranyigishije batubwira ko n'umugabo n'umugore bayikeneye.
Inkomeza kubona inyigisho yakomeje kwiga zidufasha mu rugo.
Usibye amahugurwa, ikintu cya mbere umushinga waduhaye ubaka kanya ku musaruro wacu dufite ibyo twanikaho. Ikindi umushinga waduhaye n'ibyo tugomba guhunikamo. Ubu kubijyanye no guhunika nta kibazo dufite, umushinga waduhaye ibigega. Ikindi mu byo turi gukora uno munsi wa none nk'imbuto turi guhinga, twifitiye icyizere kuko dufite imashini yo kuvomera, igihe cy'impeshyi nta kibazo tuzagira.
Green house zifite akamaro cyane. Twe duhinga kinyamwuga, dukoresha imborera, inyongeramusaruro, imbuto ari indobanure.
Nagiriwe amahirwe yo kujya mu imurikabikorwa ry'ubuhinzi n'ubworozi. Iminsi namazeyo y'icyumweru nafashe amasomo buri gitondo nkajya niga, ndavuga nti kubera iki ntakorora ingurube ko mbona zidasaba ibiryo bihenze cyane kandi ko zitanga amafaranga.
The joint program exemplifies the importance of delivering as one. Under a single framework and in close partnership with the government of Rwanda, the program delivers integrated solutions that are transforming the lives of rural women from climate-smart agriculture to financial inclusion and leadership. This joint program is also shaping the national policy by influencing agricultural and gender strategies and embedding gender-responsive planning at all levels, thereby bridging the gap between field-level realities and Rwanda's broader transformation agenda under the National Strategy for Transformation 2.
Through the Gender Action Learning System, the program fosters a culture of inclusivity and shared responsibility between women and men. This participatory visual learning approach empowers women and the men in their lives to envision and plan their futures together. It strengthens dialogue within household and communities, promotes social cohesion, and nurtures women's leadership. As women gain agency, they take on more active roles in decision-making, becoming respected leaders in their homes, cooperatives, communities, and local governance structures. This is more than empowerment. It represents a cultural shift towards lasting gender equality.
Aho twaboneye amahugurwa ya RWEE, hey guys, imibanire twari dufite mbere, impinduka ziragaragara, turi umuryango wishimye, turafatanya kandi iterambere tukaribona.
Batwigisha ibintu by'imiyoborere, ni nubwo naje kuba nyine presidente wa koperative kandi no koperative yacu rero dufitemo n'abagabo. Cyari ngombwa ko batoramo n'umugabo, ariko natwe twaritinyutse.
Economic autonomy is essential for inclusive and sustainable development. Through RWEE, rural women in Rwanda are equipped with skills in financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and business planning. With these skills, rural women are no longer just contributors to household economies. They are equipped to lead, innovate, and drive sustainable development within their communities.
Batangiye rero batwigisha kwizigama, batwigisha gukoresha amafaranga ukaguza amafaranga ari uko ufite umushinga ugiye kuyakoresha.
Tujya mu rugendo shuri ingoma, batwereka ibikorwa bagezeho, batwereka none ukuntu bahinga ibigori, bafite n'imashini bagasya, bakagura n'ibindi. Bitanumva ko kantu ndagakunze, dukuramo imashini dutangira kubisya.
Umushinga rero wazamuye imyumvire kwanza, wongera uzamura n'ubukungu, babona n'ibyo bakora. So turabona rero ko umushinga urakora neza, kuva kuri capacity building ukaba ugiye no mu bikorwa kugira ngo ibyo bintu byose bizamukane mu iterambere ry'umuturage.
As the joint program looks to the future, its vision is clear: to create a world where rural women are not left behind but lead the way, resilient, self-reliant, and central to the journey towards inclusive and sustainable development.
All this progress and achievement are made possible thanks to the great collaboration with the Rwandan government, commitment at central and local level, but also thanks to the support of our donors, especially Gate Foundation, Sweden and Norway.
Icyo nabwira umuterankunga wa RWEE mubonye, namushimira, namenye guhinga ku buryo budahungabanya ubutaka. Ikindi nanone namushimira nuko yatugejejeho amazi ubukwirirwa winjerekani kwirirwa umuntu yikoreye injerekani ku musozi ubyavuyeho.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not AI. It's impact that we are talking about. Do we all agree? Do we agree this is not AI? It's impact from the participation, from the impact from the investment of stakeholders, and so much has happened. Lives have been transformed. As you have heard from her, she said, you all did a great work. Thank you so much to the stakeholders and partners that have made this possible. As the saying says, until the lion tells its own story, the other story glorifies the hunter. So if you saw this video, it's, as I said, it's not AI, and you were like, I wish I can speak to Jacqueline, or I can speak to Sophie, or Veronica. We share the same feeling, and we have someone from the participants who is going to share with us her own story, her own part of the story. And we are going to really witness firsthand how this program, the joint program on rural women's economic and empowerment, has transformed their livelihood. It's a great time for me to welcome Ms. Natete Primitive from RWEE beneficiary in Eastern Province of Rwanda. Is she in the room and ready? She's ready. Let's clap for her as she steps on the floor, share with us her story. To those who cannot hear Kinyarwanda, you can use the translation devices on the tables and tune in, press 1 to hear in English. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Murakoze, banje kubashimira mwese muteraniye aha. Amazina yanjye nitwa Natete Primitive, naturutse mu ntara y'Iburasirazuba, akarere ka Ngoma, umurenge wa Kibungo, kagari ka Cyasemakamba, umurenge wa umudugudu wa Rubimba. Ndi single mother, umwe mu babyariye mu rugo, mbyara nyiri muto. Nza guhura n'ihungabana rikomeye cyane ry'uko nari mbyaye ndi muto nkacikisha n'amashuri yanjye. Mbaho nigunze, najya aho abandi bateraniye, nta bikorwa bya leta njyamo, nta matsinda njyamo, ariko nyuma haza kuza umushinga wa RWEE. Numva ko haje umushinga mu karere kacu ka Ngoma uri kwakira ingeri zitandukanye, abakobwa babyariye mu rugo, abagore badafite abagabo, abagabo badafite abagore, ndetse n'ababana n'ubumuga. Nuko nanjye nisanzemo, numva najyamo. Nyuma umushinga uza kuza kutuganiriza, kutubwira ibyo bafasha abagenerwabikorwa babo. Numva batubwira ko bakorana n'amatsinda, babashingira amatsinda yo kwibumbira hamwe, yo kugurizanya, bakarasa ku ntego. Batwigisha yuko baduha amahugurwa ajyanye n'ubuhinzi bwa kijyambere, guhinga dusigasira ubutaka. Batubwira yuko batanga n'amahugurwa ajyanye no kubahuza n'ibigo by'imari, no gukorana n'ibigo by'imari, ndetse n'amasomo twahawe ya IAMU. Duhabwa n'amasomo ajyanye no gufata neza umusaruro no kongera umusaruro. Duhabwa n'amasomo ajyanye n'imirire myiza, gutegura indyo yuzuye. Nuko natangiye urugendo rwanjye njya mu itsinda ryo kwizigama no kugurizanya, mera ku mafaranga 200. Kuyabona ntabwo byari binyoroheye. Nshakisha nkayabona, nkizigama, mbona abadamu bagenzi banjye bo baratera imbere baguza, bakorera imishinga mito iciriritse. Nanjye nigira inama yo kuguza amafaranga make nzabasha kubonera inyungu. Nguzamo amafaranga 5,000, nkora bizinesi yo kwenga ubushera, nkajya ncuruza ubushera. Bikora mbikunze, nkacuruza ubushera bwanjye, mbona amafaranga, ari nako nanga za nyungu, mbona bizinesi yanjye miriyongera. Nyuma njya mu mahugurwa ajyanye n'ibigo by'imari, baduhuza n'amabanki atandukanye arimo Equity, Sako n'andi mabanki menshi. Baza kutubwira uko amabanki yabo akora, uko batanga amafaranga biciye mu mushinga wa RWEE. Numva ndabikunze cyane, ndagenda ndicara mu rugo nekereza ku mushinga nakora ubyara inyungu. Ndangije ako mbere yuko mva mu mahugurwa nta konte nagiraga, nahise njya muri banki ya Equity funguza konte, byari ubuntu. Maze gufunguza konte mu mafaranga make nabonaga, nangira kugenda nshyiraho make. ndicara nkora umushinga w'ubworozi bw'inkoko mujyana muri banke barawemera bifashijwemo n'umushinga wa RWEE baramfasha bampa inguzanyo ya $1,000,000 nzishyura mu gihe cy'umwaka n'inyungu y'ibihumbi 100. Naraje numizaho inkoko imishwi imaze ukwezi ivutse amasake, nahereye ku nkoko 100 ndazizana ndazorora nzitaho nkazigaburira nkazishakira imiti ndetse na veterineri uzikurikirana. Nuko mbona ntago bihagije nakora n'indi business kugira niteze imbere bashe kubona amafaranga menshi. Nkorana n'uruganda rwa kawa rugura ikawa, ndi umumamyi ngura ikawa mu kagari nuyemo nkagemura ku ruganda. Mbona nabyo nibihagije nkora n'ubuhinzi kuko mbere twahingaga mu kajagari tudahinga ubuhinzi bwa kijyambere. Maje guhabwa amahugurwa natangiye guhinga ubuhinzi bwa kijyambere, mpinga ibigori nkahinga nakomeretse ubutaka nkaharura, namara guharura nkacukura ibyeso nkashyiramo ifumbire y'imborera nkarenzaho agataka nkashyiraho imvaruganda nkasibira nkashyiraho ibigori ndetse twiga no gusasira. Iyo wasasiye ibihingwa byawe imvura ikabanye y'amazi n'imvura ibonetse amazi aguma mu butaka ntago huma cyane. Ubwo ndangije ndahinze ngusa niyo business y'ubumamyi mbona nangiye gutera imbere mva kuri wa mugabane w'amafaranga 200 umugeze ku mugabane w'amafaranga 5,000 bya buri cyumweru mbikesha umushinga wacu wa RWEE. Ndakomeza mu rugendo rwanjye rw'ubworozi, ndikubona ko ubworozi bwanjye butari cyane, nigira inama yuko nakora ubu ndikwigira inama yuko nakagura business yanjye, noneho nkashaka imashini zituraga imishwi nkajya nanjye ndanguza abandi baturage nkanasagurira n'amasoko mu impande n'impande. Ariko hagati aho nzabifashwamo nuko mfite intego yo kwishyura banke, majije kwishyura aho 1/2 kirenga ibihumbi 500 n'amafaranga 50. Niyo majije kwishyura mu kwa 11 nzasoza kwishyura yose, noneho mbe nagana banke baba amafaranga ari hejuru nagure business yanjye nguremo imashini zituraga imishwi nge ngurisha abandi. Niyo ntego numva mfite. Noneho nk'abadamu hari imbogamizi duhura nazo mu matsinda dukoreramo ya n'amakoperative yuko tudafite ubutaka buhagije, nubwo dufite turabuhinga ko dufite imbogamizi yuko tudafite imashini zo kuhira. Kuki gihe cy'izuba biba bigoranye kuhira, kuba twakuhira ko dufite imashini twakuhira neza tugatera imbere biciye mu mucyo. Dufite indi mbogamizi yuko abadamu bamwe bataratinyuka ngo bumve ko batinyutse bagende bagana ibigo by'imari bibaha amafaranga nabo bakore. Ariko imbogamizi zihari nuko abadamu bari mu mushinga bafite imyaka iri hejuru y'urubyiruko batabona uburyo babafashamo ngo umushinga ubishingire babaha amafaranga. Nayo ni imbogamizi dufite, mwazabirebaho nabo mukaba mwabishingira bakabasha gukora n'ibigo by'imari. Indi mbogamizi dufite nk'abadamu mu matsinda iwacu ni yuko tutaritinyuka twese ngo dutinyuke twumve ko twahawe ijambo nk'abadamu, ko twaraheze inyuma duhora twitinye. Ariko ubu harimo bamwe bataritinyuka bitewe n'imiryango baturukamo n'imiryango babanye nayo. Dufite indi mbogamizi yuko kubona isaso biratugora cyane bitewe n'uko aho gutera ibyatsi byo gusasira ari hato cyangwa dusasire ibihingwa byacu. Niyo n'indi mbogamizi dufite. Inama natanga kuri bagenzi banjye nuko bakaguka bakagana ibigo by'imari bagatinyuka bagakora. Iyo watse amafaranga ugiye kuyakoresha icyo wayakiye naga amafaranga yawe ahomba, utera imbere ukishyura neza kuba wanafata n'andi mafaranga ahagije. So rero ni muri ubwo buryo nagutsemo numva nangiye kwitinyuka, mbese nangira mbikesha uyu mushinga nagiyemo wa RWEE, nangira kujya mu nama za leta, nangira kumva ko nisanzuye mbohotse nakiri wa wundi waheranwe n'agahinda. Njya mu nama za leta bangirira icyizere banorera ubuyobozi ku rwego kuyobora urubyiruko mu mudugudu, ndazamukanya ku kagari, ndazamukanya ku rwego rw'umurenge, ndi secrétaire w'urubyiruko mu murenge wacu mwuyemo. Ibyo byose mbikesha umushinga wacu wa RWEE. Natinze mu magambo nasoza ndashimira umushinga wacu GP RWEE, ndashimira n'abafatanyabikorwa bandi arimo FAO, PAMU n'indi mishinga bakorana nabo, ndabashimira cyane ko badutinyuye. Ikindi ndashimira ubuyobozi bwacu bwiza bwa leta dukorana umunsi ku wundi, ndashimira muzehe wacu nyakubahwa Paul Kagame udahwema gutekereza ku iterambere ry'umugore n'urubyiruko. Murakoze, mugira amahoro.
Thank you. We cannot have such stories of impact without addressing these key challenges they meet on day-to-day basis. And the discussions we are going to have following are going to show us how policy, institutional and market barriers to women's economic empowerment can really either stop them from advancing from where they are, or if they are addressed effectively, we can have an accelerated impact. So Renaud is going to be helping us through these discussions as she moderates the panel discussion of different partners. Renaud, you can have the floor and kindly introduce the panelists that we are going to have here, and yeah, let's look forward to these amazing conversations. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I think it's not already noon, so it's still good morning. My name is Renalda Winyesha. I work for FAO Rwanda, and I'm going to be the moderator for the next panel. So the panel will be discussing about addressing policy, institutional and market barriers to women economic empowerment. We will explore lessons learned and strategic priorities. So before I proceed, allow me to welcome our panelists. Our first panelist is Mr. Aimable Ntukanyagwe. He's the country program coordinator for IFAD Rwanda, a position he has been held since 2010. He has experience in agriculture development, agribusiness, and rural transformation. He has previously served with the Netherlands Development Organization, the National Center for Support to Small and Medium Enterprises, and United Nations Mission in Kosovo. He's a trained veterinary doctor. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Aimable Ntukanyagwe on stage. Our second panelist is Mr. Bimenyimana Desire, who is the country director for INADES. Bimenyimana Desire is the country director for INADES Formation Rwanda. He has more than 16 years of experience in agriculture, livestock development, climate resilience, gender inclusion, rural development, and environment sustainability. Through his career, he has managed programs that strengthen food security, resilience, and inclusive development for farming communities. Let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Desire on stage. The third panelist is Mr. Ngoga Baziga Innocent. He is the Director of Cooperative Promotion and Capacity Building Unit at Rwanda Cooperative Agency. He has 14 years of professional experience. He has worked extensively in project management, cooperative development, capacity building, and access to finance. He also served as lecturer and head of department for economics at Kigali Independent University. Let's put our hands together to welcome Inosa on stage. Thank you so much, our panelists, for being here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you have heard it from previous speakers, and we always say it in our everyday work, that women play a critical role in Rwanda's agri-food system, but they still face significant challenges in access to finance, access to productive resources, access to the market, trainings, information, digitalization, you name it. And yes, we can see a significant progress from government programs, development partners initiatives, civil society initiatives, and private sector engagement. So the panel we have today, our panelists are going to discuss more to explore and explain to us about lessons learned and strategic priorities for advancing women economic empowerment through gender-responsive financing and climate resilience agri-food system. Without further ado, I'll start with you, Mr. Aimable from IFAD. Based on your personal experience and IFAD experience in Rwanda, including GP-RWEE implementation and other country programs, what lessons did you learn in designing financial mechanisms that effectively reach and empower women? Thank you.
Thank you. Based on our experience during the implementation of the Rural Women Economic Empowerment Program, joint program, also based on the experience through the IFAD funded the projects under the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources. Some lessons can be discussed. We can learn a lot from the ongoing and the previous experiences. First of all, financial services, they can be successful when they are combined by household empowerment approaches. You are aware, especially in the case of Rwanda, most of the time at the household level, is the man who takes the decision. You can get assets, you can sell livestock, but the use of the financial resources, in many cases, you can notice that it's the man who will be taking the decision. That is why, through the IFAD portfolio, even through the joint program, Rural Women Economic Empowerment, we have emphasized the household methodology called the Gender Action Learning System. It's a methodology where men and women are trained together, are requested to jointly plan for the household, discuss and agree on the use of the household resources, especially design, assess the level at which they are, discuss the constraints they are facing, and where they want to reach. Once they agree on that program, they can have a better use of the household resources, including access to financial resources. Even if a household wants to take a loan or to make savings, it should be discussed. They are trained on how to make a joint decision. Otherwise, the woman will need to be allowed to go alone and take a loan, to go alone and have a bank loan, or go to the circle, get a loan. Even the use of the resources, it has been a permanent headache, but when you use this kind of household methodology, they can plan together, they can disagree on the use of the household resources, and that can allow the women to have access to financial resources. But otherwise, without that kind of agreement, it will be a permanent struggle. Another lesson learned is that it's very good, it's very important to work through savings and loans grow associations. Currently, at the village level, we have what is called the village saving and loans association. For individual women, it's really hard to go to the bank or to the circle and have an individual loan. But through the saving groups, they can put together their resources and manage them appropriately, and everyone can have access to the loans, pay back quickly, and as a group, with kind of graduation pathway before working closely with the commercial banks. Recently, we were involved in a supervision mission of a small livestock project under Minagrin, and we visited one saving group, where they have a digital tool. They can contribute monthly through their mobile phone. Even when they request a loan, it's done quickly through the mobile phone, and the president, the secretary, and the treasurer of the saving group, they can receive immediately on their phone the request from one member, and they can take a decision immediately, and the women can get access to the financial resources. This is very helpful because it can help to address education issues when kids have to go back to school, if you have to pay health insurance, if you want to buy a small livestock, let's say, that these kind of saving groups are really very helpful to support women to have access to financial services. Another lesson learned is that financial literacy is an important element for women to access financial resources. Most of the time, rural women, they can be there in their villages, but they don't know how to deal with the circle or any microfinance institution. They don't know the conditions, but when they are trained through this financial literacy, they can be aware of what is going on and then start working with the circles and other financial institutions. In that regard, for instance, under the SPIU for Minagri, in charge of World Bank, IFAD, and the Koika funded the project, they have signed an MOU with Cordaid, which is an international NGO specialized in rural financial services. And we are training these cooperatives, even the circles, so that they can be aware of which kind of services they can get at the circles, what are the conditions, and let them get in touch. Create that kind of linkages. If instead of saying, oh, this is a bank, I can't approach it as my poor rural women, but when they have access to this kind of financial literacy, it is really very helpful. Another lesson is that it has been really easy to work through groups, through group-based, focusing on group-based approaches. Many cooperatives can help to reach the maximum of women, because you cannot reach women individually. But when they are grouped into cooperatives, you can organize any training, you can discuss the issues they are facing, and try to find a joint solution in common. They can tell you, I have this issue regarding the financial services. I can't discuss with the circle management. But it's much better to go through cooperative instead of going through individual women or young girls. It's better to organize a kind of training. Also, it is better to to organize the, how to say it, it's more effective when you reach them through cooperatives rather than reaching individual women. It's very effective and it can help to meet the maximum of women, understand their issues, and agree on the problem that should be resolved. Another lesson learned is that to facilitate women to access financial resources, it's better also to address issues related to market access. Different programs financed by IFAD and Minagri, they are distributing, they're supporting the Girinka program, they're distributing small livestock to poor households. But at the end, those beneficiaries, they need to have access to markets for their products. For instance, if you are producing, for a household is getting around 20 liters of milk per day, they need to be connected to a milk collection center, and then that milk collection center need to be connected to a dairy plant. If there is another small livestock project, for instance, they are distributing poultry, pigs, goats, and sheep, but then at the end you need to have access to the markets. That is why, for instance, the project is putting in place slaughterhouses for pigs, so that those who have pigs, they can have at least a direct access to market. The project is supporting, for instance, eggs collection centers that can allow the beneficiaries to have access to market for their products. Otherwise, providing assets without access to market also might not be very useful if the attainment is not taken into account. The last element is that also we really need a strong institution. Those cooperatives, of women cooperatives, even the circle being supported by different institutions, they need capacity building. Otherwise, you can have, instead of supporting the end beneficiaries, also these local institutions need to be supported. Cooperative, circles, other microfinancial institutions, they also need kind of a capacity building so that they can provide improved financial services to women. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mabre. If we have time, I will come back to a follow-up question related to that. We already behind the time, so I will ask our panelists to be brief and precise so that we can be able to hear from the audience as well. The next question goes to Country Director for INADES. It's good that Emabre tackled most of the issues that women faces related to access to finance, access to market and everything. But someone from INADES who work with the community more than maybe different other organizations, because you are there working with the community, working with the rural women. So we would like to hear from you. Despite increased access to finance and services and development programs, many rural women continue to face social cultural barriers. From your experience, what are the most persistent barriers and what approaches have proven effective in transforming those norms? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me start by saying that RWEE is working with the most vulnerable beneficiaries, especially women. As already mentioned by the previous speakers, women are still facing challenges. Even if they access to finance, there are some other challenges remaining that have to be overcome. The first one is that women are somehow isolated. Despite the efforts made by the government of Rwanda in promoting gender equality, women still have normal problem due to traditional norms. The first one is that we say in Kinyarwanda, and some adage said, "Uruvuza umugore, I don't add." That's show that decision making by women is still a challenge. That's a point we have to work on. Women, they are engaged in production. They are good producers. But when it's time to manage the production, it's become a problem. Women produce. When it's time to manage, to take decision about income use, it's become a problem. Women can have access to finance, but when they are not the first one to decide, it is easier for a man, the husband, to say, take this money, and then there is somehow a deviation of the money while the money was dedicated to a specific activity. When women access to the production, there is a challenge of access to the market. You know, as there are small producers, it is not easy for women to access to the market when they produce a small quantity, but this, with RWEE, I can say, when they join their efforts, either into pre-cooperative now, into cooperatives, it is possible to access to markets and then sell their production. And another point, they produce, yes, but also there is a problem of transformation of their production. RWEE made a lot in supporting farmers to access to those milling machines to start processing maize. It's a good step. They have to continue to develop their effort so that they can produce flour maize that can be sold to the market according to the standards provided by RBS or other competent institutions. So I can say, despite the access to finance, yes, women still have challenges, but also there is a way of overcoming this. When they are grouped into a cooperative, they are organized, it is more easier to train them, to create opportunity for selling their product, to create opportunity for accessing finance, yes, increasing more finance, to create opportunity for accessing to agriculture input, to technology, and even access more information about this digital, currently we are promoting through various methods. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Desiree. I'll come back to you with a follow-up question as well. But because both you and Aimable, you mentioned the importance of cooperatives and how it's always easy and doable to support women economic empowerment through cooperative than supporting an individual. This takes me to the question that I want to ask Inosa, because you always work with the cooperatives, and I guess you have more responses to this. Cooperatives remain an important entry point for women economic empowerment. What are the main barriers that continue to limit women participation in cooperative leadership? And what reforms do you think are needed to make cooperative more gender responsive?
Thank you very much for the important question. The previous groups talks about cooperatives. So I think no one has left a word cooperative here. Yeah, this is because it's where some of participants raised an issue of having people in group. So because supporting one person is somehow difficult than taking people in groups. So this is a cooperative. Now, as you know, a cooperative is a corporation. Now, as I was saying, I'm working for Rwanda Cooperative Agency. So I can't say something without raising this percentage of women in cooperative, and also a leadership of cooperative of women in leadership. So first of all, as you know, RCEE is a regulatory agency, and in Rwanda, for the total members of the total cooperatives we have in Rwanda is about 7,100, and the members in the cooperatives are about 6 million. So among the 6 million, we have the male are 52 and female are 47.4. You see, this is a high number of cooperatives, women cooperatives, and members of cooperatives in Rwanda. So, as you are saying, some cooperatives also, it is a power entry for the point for empowering the rural women, because they help also members to improve bargaining power. So it means when they are together in the cooperatives, this increase the bargaining power for women. It also increases the access to markets. It also serve collectively and connect to financial institutions and public services. So although we have this number, a big number of of women in cooperatives, as you see, 47.4%, it is a high number of women in cooperatives. But still, the women has this problem of expressing themselves. If we refer to the Article 16 of cooperative law, it says that normally in a cooperative executive committee and also executive cooperative members of executive committee, women should at least have 30%. As in the government of Rwanda, as you know, we have in every institution, we should have 30%. So we apply also this in cooperative movement to have this percentage. But still, we have challenges of women participation. So they can't express themselves and say what they need as men did. So this is one of challenges, but as long as we are motivating them through trainings, through a capacity building process, they have started to express themselves, what they need, what they can do, and through cooperatives, women have started to make improvement, to improve what they are doing in production, in this access to markets. You know, in cooperatives, we may have members are working, they are producing aside, and they make together their production in a cooperatives. In that way, they access markets, they access loans. They can also access the power of expressing themselves in the purpose of developing themselves, developing their families, and also improving the economic development in their area where they are operating. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Maybe before I come back to Mable, I just want to ask you briefly. It's a small question, which is a follow-up to what you have just explained. At the point where women have the issue of like not able to express themselves, which is the main reason why we don't see them in leadership. But you said the initiative that you have been implementing to empower them. So I just briefly want to know if there is progress in terms of how it used to be and now. Does the number in leadership of women improving compared to previous years?
Yeah, there is a big progress. As you are saying, when we participate in their election, so we can't accept as a regulator, RWEE, we can't accept the election of, for example, executive committee without having the 30% of women in the participation in the leadership of cooperatives. Okay. So that is also, it improves their participation in General Assembly. So they are also able to ask questions in General Assembly to know their rights. So they can express themselves in General Assemblies, and also they get answers from General Assemblies. And it is which is a high part of a high decision making in a cooperative. So they have made a big progress in a participation, in a decision making. And this is what I raised also before. Because when they know that they have this big number, or this big percentage of participation in cooperative, they access easily and in access to finance. But let me raise this one. Again, there is another challenge regarding this access to finance. Especially, we have here people from central bank. So sometimes they see the capacity of those cooperatives and the capacity of that women. And they compare, for example, some percentages of savings, but it means they should also, though they are not considering the collaterals, but also they refer to those, to some criteria financial institutions are taking into account before providing loans. So they should also focus on those women who are not able to get who are not able to fulfill those criteria in order to get these loans. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. As I mentioned earlier, we're already behind time, and maybe without concentrating on my questions, let's give the audience chance to hear if they have questions to ask before maybe we close, or I ask other questions if they don't have.
Thank you.
Do we have people in the audience who would like to ask you questions? You can raise your hand, they will. Okay. Someone here in front, the first table.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very good conversation, and I like both the first and the second panels, that they're kind of linking the two conversations, and of course, specifically speaking to women financing and specifically rural women. So mine is not a question, it's just a reflection or kind of a comment. The first panel and the second panel spoke about some of the challenges that we still have. And going back to the first panel, the government representative, specifically from the Ministry of Gender, indicated what the Ministry of Gender does in terms of setting up gender-sensitive policies, laws and regulations, strategies, procedures that help in terms of in supporting women financing. They also talked about capacity building being the biggest challenge, especially when you speak about financial literacy, entrepreneurship development, education, mentorship and coaching. But I wanted to really assure the team in the House, especially women that are in the House, that capacity building, in my view, is no longer a very big problem. And I speak from where I sit, foundation, because that is our main mandate, building capacities for the underserved groups. And when we look at the underserved groups, specifically focus on women, youth, and smallholder farmers. Financing is the second element that was raised, specifically the unavailability of tailored financial products. I think we had from a colleague from BK, but also reflecting what Equity Bank is doing, we realize that most of the people talked about cooperatives, but what we have seen from the community perspective is that actually most of the women are in VSLAs. VSLAs are women savings and loan groups. They're the majority. If you look at each VSLA, which has between 8 and 10 people, you'll find at least 8 are women. And if you go to registered VSLAs, Equity has specifically come up with a product to respond to the challenge that VSLAs have, because the biggest challenge is collateral requirement, which they don't have, because the majority are women. And a Kimina product is responding to that challenge because there is no collateral requirement. If you look at other products like Ijirena Equity, which also include maternity insurance, where somebody who is on maternity leave will not pay a loan for 3 months. Those are all tailored products that are speaking to women needs, specifically women in rural areas. But for me, the biggest challenge that I see that we really need to focus on, especially that we have UN agencies in the room, specifically who are supporting RWEE and supporting rural women to access finance. I think for me the biggest challenge is de-risking. Yes, we have tailored financial products, but most of the time when a bank comes up with a product, they will need at least to have the skin in the game. And for the skin in the game, I mean, they will need that there is a little contribution from either a VSLA or a cooperative. And that has been a very big challenge. So when they are at risk, at least that helps that they are able to, through a guarantee or some sort of a grant that covers that gap, that helps them to access finance. Because this is the biggest challenge that I see. We've been doing a lot of capacity building in partnership with different NGOs and UN agencies and other development partners. But after capacity building and financial literacy, digital literacy, entrepreneurship development, doing the mentorship and coaching, you realize access to finance, again, remains a little bit of a challenge, mainly because they still struggle to contribute a little that is required from any financial institution. And lastly, awareness raising. Financial institutions have products, whether they are MFIs or SACCOs or commercial banks, but most of the women are not able to get the information. So I think awareness would also be a very instrumental contribution to make sure that they understand the products in the market and how they can be able to plug in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. This is really good because, as someone mentioned the area, we always come here to discuss challenges and issues, but I like it when people come with solutions. So I guess people can hear what you said, and others who don't understand English, they have translation, and we already, as UN agencies and other organizations, started being close to Equity Foundation, and I think our leaders are here. We'll continue to work together and solutions will be found. Thank you so much. Any question, any comment? Someone is there.
Thank you so much. Mine is to go back to what Imable said earlier on regarding market access facilitation in alignment with the infrastructure that's been provided for the women or for the cooperatives. Now, something we've not talked about here is the food loss aspect at the cooperative level, whether be it at cooperative or be it at farm gate level. What I need for us to look at in terms of financing, yes, because we know there are a lot of financial institutions that are providing finance. One is that how do we infrastructure that we say is available, like Imable said, how do we strengthen infrastructure at the corporate level or at the VSLA level to ensure that value addition is being strengthened at the grassroots level? A lot of value addition is happening away from the centers of production. So between that timeline to production to delivery at the points of value addition, there's a lot of loss that happens there. Cold chains, how are we strengthening the cold chain facilities at the grassroots level? I think there's need to see how financial institutions can come in as a backup for this, and also see that the women at this point are also leveraged and able to benefit from this financing and a cooperative at the overall level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know she's from Equity. Did you mention where you're coming from? Because when you come up with a great idea, maybe we'll still need to know where you're coming from so that we can continue working together.
Thank you so much. And about that, my name is Esther Mukundane. I'm the Executive Director at Guardians for Health International.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Jody Bajiza. I'm from the University of Rwanda Center for Gender Studies. I thank you very much for inviting us for this very important topic, women in agriculture, financing and all that. Thank you so much. I was very much touched by the comments and the, from the women, actually. I was expecting to see a panel of these women who were here behind. I would have been very much intrigued to see them have a panel presentation because they are really the beneficiaries and we need to hear more of their voices It's good to really partner with such strong people, but I don't want to really sound critical, but I was also a bit questionable about the panels. We seem to have very strong women here in the areas of finance and agriculture and all that. So next time, please, let's see more women panels or panelists.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. I think the point is taken. It's good that today we heard from men who are also supporting to empower women, but promise you next time we will have more women discussing. And in previous sessions, I mean in previous events we had women, but we will have more women for the next session, and we still have a lot to do. So thank you so much.
Here.
How many questions should we take now? Done. Okay, the last one. Whoever is having one. The last one, you, yes.
Okay.
Then
Quick one. First of all, thank you. My name is Jimmy. I'm the Executive Director for Sustainable Growers. Talking of RCA, I had a chance a few weeks ago to visit a number of cooperatives that we support, but I want to talk about the meaningful participation that you were talking about. You realize that in every committee I visited, the chairman or the president and the vice are always men, and women are there in the middle. Secretary, they're not into decision making. I don't know if it is beyond breaking the rule. If it can be 50-50 president and vice president, at least to have a male and female, maybe the balance would be much better there for decision making, because we also don't want to keep on having a number and, I mean, quantifying the number without qualifying the decision making in the process. So if there is that flexibility in RCA to make sure that at least the cooperatives, if we have two decision makers on top, at least one is a man and one is a woman, maybe to have a more stride in the future. The other thing on EMAB, we really appreciate the work that IFAD is doing in financing, but also thinking of the scaling is also another issue, because in the last panel we're hearing a lot of ideas and products that are there, and it raises a big question to me, like thinking of innovative products like Shabuka and others. How do we scale down those, facilities downstream? Because there is a lot of unawareness down there. I know probably on TV, we don't know how many farmers are accessing TV. I know we're using social medias and everything, but I don't know if these, even financial institutions, have strategy of scaling down these products to the real people who are on the ground. So also beyond IFAD, facilities and people that you're reaching out, how do these people also have a chance to learn about those financial literacy, to understand these financial products beyond just the coverage or the scope that you have within PISAC or the IFAD-funded projects? So the scalability of these financial products downstream, also the meaningful participation of women also is, were just two issues that I wanted to raise. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tika, I can see you're raising your hand. You wanted to, okay, maybe let's see.
Thank you, moderator. Mine is just a procedure because this is a solution space. If we can give participants few more people to ask questions, 2 to 3. If we have one question, at least one question from the farmers, it will be more comprehensive. Yeah. So please let's allow few more questions on the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tiki, because I had the question raised by Jimmy, and I thought we needed time for Emabre to respond to it, because it was actually my follow-up question, so I'm glad you asked it. Emabre, if you can briefly, yes, after other questions, yes. Please raise your hand if you want to ask questions.
Thank you so much. My name is Diana, and I'm from Hagruka. And I want to thank the panelists and everyone who participated in this very key and important event. So my question is, when are we, okay, in this meeting, probably my expectations, one of my expectations were like, who and how do we scale up the agriculture process to go to digital innovations and transformations? Especially for young women, we see the world is going ahead. We are thinking of innovations, and with the aspect of agriculture, and yeah, we see many people going into innovation aspects. So where is the agriculture? Where are the young women? Where are the young people? We know that it's an era of digital, so I think we need to start thinking of how we can scale up and how we can move ahead so we can live back the way we did agriculture, but we enter into the era of digital, such as irrigation, going further to increase irrigation efficiency, scaling up model, smart irrigations in villages and all that. I think we need to start thinking about that, and yeah, it will help and empower more women to be at competitive advantages. Thank you.
There is someone on the same table.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Verena Ruzibuka. I'm the country director for HEFA International. Much appreciation to the UN family for organizing this dialogue. There's a lot of learnings that came from the two panels and panelists, so thank you. Mine are more of comments. I liked everything, but I just wanted to allude to the first panelist from GGGI talking about data. And as Lois said, there's already a lot that's happening. There's a lot of farmers, especially women farmers in VSLAs, self-help group, Bimina, and there's a lot of transaction that is happening there, but data is not visible. Those transactions are not visible. So their potential of being interesting or attractive clients is not obvious because people don't know, right? So I'm looking at an area of focus around digital infrastructure to increase or enhance visibility of what the kind of transactions that are happening there, so that the supply products that are designed are responding to the actual potential that that's happening in the communities, including the women. Because women are doing a lot using the VSLAs, the IBIMINA as the tool for transformation. So how can we capitalize that? So I think I would just put that as a recommendation for further thinking. I liked the de-risking aspects that comes with capacity building, which when we talk of finance, there's a lot of financial literacy that's being talked about. But financial literacy is not the only thing. So there's a technical capacity. If you are in agribusiness, financial literacy will not solve your problem if your technical skills around doing the business that you're doing is not yet there. So I think let's unpack capacity building as a de-risking tool so that you're de-risking across, and then all the needs that the farmers or the women farmers we are talking about today are surrounded. And then I'm looking at let's embrace partnership, let's talk to each other more, and support and bring solutions that address ecosystem challenges. Because a woman farmer is not monotonous. There's a lot of diversity there. There are others that are big, others are small, Others have a lot of technical capability, but they have social challenges. So there's a lot of, it's a complex system that all of us, if we work together, would be able to support the women farmers and enable them to be more included and address and make them thrive in this climate challenging agri-food system. Thank you.
Maybe we take these questions here, then we have 3 questions from this side. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Charity Kabariga. I work for the Code Rwanda. Most of my compliments and demonstrations I had have been covered by my colleagues, but I will just mention something related to the tailored climate responsive financial instruments that we are talking about to be provided by the maybe impact investors or the financial institutions. And I appreciate the Central Bank of Rwanda and the Equity Bank here and the BK for having started thinking about the social development part of the clients before you think about a loan or a saving product. So to my understanding, when it comes to climate resilient, gender inclusive, gender climate resilient and agri-food systems and food security, it's more of not just availing the financing instruments, but it's more of an ecosystem, enabling the whole ecosystem of the woman being supported. It has been mentioned through the financial literacy and the organization, putting them together and then linking them to a financing option that is really aligned to the need and the characteristic of that woman that we are talking about. So there is a gap where, like most of the development partners, we think like we mostly support the demand side. We mostly support the demand side, but we forget that also the supply side needs support. They need to understand this. They need to understand the gender issues into a financing instrument. They need to understand that a woman who has limited capacity to take decisions, a woman who is being affected by the social norms, how can this be now come back into a financial institution or into the hands of an investor and be designed as a financial product? So there is this gap, maybe at the level of the capacity of the, let me talk about the microfinance institutions, maybe for the big banks, sometimes they have the fundings and the capacity to do, to put in place all the infrastructures. But these financial institutions that serve the local community we are talking about.
From BRD would mention about this opportunity. So we need to work together as people intervening in the agriculture sector, and we make awareness of the available opportunities. I've never seen any project that has been designed without saying that women and youth will be focused on. But when it comes to implementation, it gets lost somewhere. So we need really to work together as institutions that are in this women empowerment. Another thing is that I want to talk on behalf of the ministry that people should come and get advice on the procedures in whatever agricultural activities that are engaged so that they can be compliant. I'm talking about this based on the lady who gave us the testimony about the purchase. She wants to purchase a hatching machine.
it's better for her really to contact RAB because they are procedure.
Mike, I have Mike, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm called Valentine from Duhami Kadri. Mine is different from others. That is why I raise my hand till I get Mike. Yes, I have seen that bank did different work. The women here, they are opening their mind. They are getting money from bank. They are operating different business. But once they operate the business, the husband, they say, my love, my sweetheart. I have seen that now you're opening the business, but now you are going to be responsible on these like minor expense. Responsible on these like minor expense. You are going to buy food. You are going to buy clothes for the children. You are going to change the pot and other things. But mine, because me, I have big business, I will be planning for buying cow, buying goats, buying land. And that time, the women, they are starting the business and suffering from trying to expense different money in buying that small things. And that small thing, it is not minor. Most of the women who are here, you know that thing is not minor. It is too big. It costs more expense. In that time, the women, they are opening in the business, but staying on the same stairs. I have the capital of 2 million, but it is still 2 million because I am buying more things from the household level without plan. So it is the challenge that I have seen from the most of the women through my last trainings, and all the stakeholders who are here, please tackle on jointly planning and fair responsibility to make sure that the women are operating their business and the business is scaling up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can we get the last question from someone who is having the mic, then we'll close.
Yes, thank you. I think I said I'm Josiane from Peace and Development Network. And I think what I was to add as a recommendation is yes, we have worked on women empowerment, and I think our farmers are really empowered. We said capacity building and de-risking, and I was thinking, what if it is men? The problem is men. So if women are empowered enough, why are we not tackling on men's side? So that I don't know if I can call men empowerment in terms of not poverty, but mindset change. That was my compliment.
Okay, thank you so much. If you allow me, I'll give Emabre 1 minute to respond to the question that Jimmy raised, then we'll be done. Because most of the questions and comments we would have, like we got our comments and contribution from the audience.
Okay, thank you. For your question about the scaling up of innovative approaches or products, I think, as you are aware, if the funded projects are directly implemented by the government through the SPIU under Minagri, but we are always open. We have a supervision mission every year. We have an implementation support mission every year. Even there is, if you notice that there is an innovative product that can help the target group of the project, the project design report is not a Bible. We can sit to the head of Minagri, analyze the innovative products which is in place, and then agree on the way to introduce it during the project implementation. It's very easy. That is why we are working with different partners. I was saying about to coordinate. Now we have Equity Bank, we have Kirimo Trust, we have the Rwanda Youth in Agri-Business Forum, we have the Rwanda Veterinary Council, the Rwanda Council of Veterinary Doctors. In case there is an innovation which can help the target group, there is always a way to align and introduce it during the project implementation. Even recently, I think probably in September, if IFAD is working through the private sector department, we are working closely with the Bank of Kigali. There will be a loan to BK that will support farmers' organization. I think it is in that way, even to go out of Minagri, but also to go through financial institution, see how you can better support our beneficiaries. We are still open, and we can adapt any innovative products which can help the project beneficiaries. About now the digital infrastructure, I think Minagri is making good progress. They have a digital office at Minagri, which is operational now. Under the SPIU, they have a digital office also recently. And at IFAD also, we are coordinating. We have a digitalization expert who can work very closely with Minagri, with the SPIU, to see how we can improve the way we are doing it in digitalization in agriculture. There is a long way to go, but at least we have started, and we hope to make good progress in collaboration with Minagri and other implementing agencies. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Emabri. TK, if you'd allow, I heard that there is one GP beneficiary who wanted to contribute something. Do you think we have time for that? Like 30 seconds. Where is she? Now what? Okay. Thank you so much, our panelists, and thank you so much, participants, for your contributions. One of the inspiring things for this session is that most of the people who asked you for mic, it was not questions, they are contributions, which means everyone is willing to collaborate and work together to make sure we empower women in agri-food system. So we had a lot, and it's not the work for one person to implement. It requires joint effort from all of us who are here, and this is one of the steps that we have been taking. Let's continue the collaboration, as everyone mentioned, and looking forward to see the progress as we all believe and working towards. Thank you so much.
Panelists, before you go, you can go down so for a group photo. What's making this dialogue very powerful and dynamic in its own way? It's how everyone is willing to collaborate to make this work, to make the GP strengthened and powerful, and it's a collaborative. It's a work that is not going to take only one organization, as you have heard from the financial services, the banks, the Minagri, the participants. A lot has been said, and we are going to even have more time in networking session to go deeper in these discussions so that we can strengthen our partnerships. Are we still together? Hello, money? They have forgotten everything. Money, cash, money, cash. They have forgotten only this column. Money. Okay, that table, the third table removed. Money. I want to see if we are still together. Money. Money, cash. Okay, let's do it all together. Money, cash. Thank you so much. A wonderful applause to the panelists and all of you that participated in these dialogues. Let's do it again. Round of applause. We're going to receive the remarks from the World Food Program Rwanda representative and country director, Mr. Andrea Barnori, as he shares with us his remarks and feedback and insights. I've heard that he understands money so much, so expect more from him. You're welcome. The floor is yours.
Mani amafrangwa. How do you say? Miriwe, thank you for having me here. Bagore Makundwa, that this is your day of reflection. Dear Deputy Chief Gender Monitoring Office, Florian. Dear DG Silas from Migeprof. Dear representative for the government and Minagri. Dear partners, on the daily life. This is on the daily life of many women. So let me start recognizing the women of Rwanda. The women that are the center of the agri-food system. The women that are working every day in agriculture and the local markets. The women that are feeding their children and sustaining their households. Let me also recognize only those men that attentively listen to the women and support them to flourish. This is reality we want to work every day. This is the reality we want to support. As a WFP, we see that when women access to income, to finance, to market, households are stronger, nutrition improves, a community are more resilient. So what are our priorities going forward? Expanding investment and reaching rural women. Not only with inputs and tools, but also I would say with learning and knowledge. Improve access to finance, a lot we have been discussing about that. Strengthen market linkages and income. And remove the barrier for participation at all levels, in Rwanda and the entire world. These priorities are known. The difference will come with the implementation. So we are all committed to implement the priorities. We need to ensure the policy continue to reflect the realities, the financing reaches women, and today's dialogue leads to concrete results. If we get this right, we will have stronger households, better nutrition.
That we have the panel. That is male dominated, but I want to rest assure you that most of the times when we talk about gender, it's almost taken as a topic of women. It's women that are talking about gender equality. They are supporting themselves. They are defending themselves. They want, to bring everything to themselves. But that's not the reality, because our partners, everyone, we are centered on the sustainable development, and it takes everyone. It takes men, it takes women, so that we can have accelerated development. So that's why we had men, because they have been implementing on these projects and they have so much to share with us. It's not like we did not observe gender protocols, right? Thank you so much. Talking about gender, it can never be the best thing to say rather than welcoming the expertise in gender mainstreaming. The Deputy Chief Gender Monitor, Mr. Fourier, to share with us his closing remarks as we come to the end of this session.
Midway, another man speaking, but
a he for she. And my name is Rurihose. It means urukundo Rurihose. It's not, yeah. It means love is everywhere, including this room. Distinguished representatives of UN agencies, particularly the partners implementing the joint program, WFP, IFAD, FAO, UN Women, and implementing partners. Civil society organizations represented here, financial institutions, academia, private sector, dear farmers, good evening. It is already good evening because we are in the afternoon. And I say dear farmers because they are here, and when they go back to their communities, they are the ones who are supplying us food and making us healthy. So a round of applause for the farmers. It is my honor to deliver the closing remarks for this high-level policy dialogue on catalyzing inclusive and climate-resilient agri-food system through gender-responsive financing. Allow me, as I start, to extend my sincere appreciation to the Joint Program on Rural Women's Economic Empowerment partners, the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, MIGEPROF, and all the institutions that have contributed to organizing this important dialogue. I also wish to thank all the previous speakers, the panelists, and the moderators, and all the participants for their rich discussions and valuable insights shared throughout the day. We have been privileged to hear from Honorable State Minister for Agriculture, who has clearly articulated how this agenda aligns with Rwanda's national development aspirations under NST2 and the Agriculture Strategy Transformation, PSTF5, and also reaffirmed government commitment to building a productive, resilient, and inclusive agri-food system. We have also benefited from practical experience shared by participants, including financial institutions, the civil society organizations, and the farmers themselves, particularly Madame Natete from Ngoma, who have demonstrated the progress made and also the challenges that remain. What emerged clearly from today's dialogue is that achieving inclusive and climate-resilient agri-food system is not only merely a question of increasing financing. It is equally about ensuring that this financing reaches those who need it most, particularly women farmers and other smallholder farmers, including men and youth, and that it is complemented by appropriate extension services. It also complemented by market linkages, climate-smart technologies, and capacity development, which is designed to the needs of smallholder farmers, particularly women, in their respective communities and experiences. Experience has shown that when these elements come together, women are not simply beneficiaries, but they become drivers and leaders of agricultural transformation, food security, and economic growth. Equally important is the need to continue listening to and engaging women farmers themselves. And I really agree with Professor Jody that we, even from now and going forward, we should be listening more to farmers and giving them platform to express themselves, because they really understand better than we can do. Sustainable solutions are most effective when they are informed by the lived experiences, the priorities and the realities of the communities that are intended to serve. Women's voices, particularly women farmers, must therefore remain at the center of policy design, program implementation, and financial decisions. As we reflect on today's discussions, to me, one message stands out above all. Accountability matters. Accountability to the commitment we make, accountability to the resources we invest, and most importantly, accountability to the women and men whose livelihoods depend on the effectiveness of our actions and investments. In these regards, I would like to really acknowledge the support of the GP partners to Gender Monitoring Office in undertaking a participatory gender audit for Rwanda's agriculture food system. We also thank the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources for the inputs, the input they provided to design that audit that we have recently started. This important audit will provide a baseline on the status of gender mainstreaming across the sector and generate evidence-based recommendations to strengthen policies, programs, and investments to achieving a gender-responsive agri-food sector. The findings of this audit are expected to implementing other government initiatives or programs, including gender-responsive budgeting program. And we also provide an important opportunity to strengthen accountability by ensuring that commitments to gender equality are reflected in planning, budgeting, implementation, and monitoring processes. The audit will also offer a pathway for measuring progress and ensuring that no one is left behind. Going forward, our collective efforts must remain focused on improving women's food security and nutrition, strengthening their economic empowerment and participation, meaningful participation in agri-food value chains, expanding their access to productive resources, as we have been discussing here, as well as financial services, and promoting their leadership and participation in decision-making processes from the household level to community levels. Achieving these outcomes will require sustained partnership, collaboration, coordination, innovative financing, and robust accountability mechanisms. The Gender Monitoring Office reaffirms its commitment to working with all the stakeholders to strengthen gender accountability systems and promote evidence-based decision-making while supporting the monitoring of commitments and results across the agri-food sector. As I conclude, let me emphasize one thing that we have been discussing on the table. that true women empowerment cannot be achieved by asking women to carry more or to adapt, but by asking the ecosystem around them to change and support the empowerment journey. So the success of our efforts will not be measured by the quality of the discussions that we have had today, but by the tangible improvements we will deliver afterwards in the lives of farmers, particularly women farmers, their families, and their communities. I thank you for your participation and commitment, and I wish you a safe journey back home for those who have traveled from the district, and also, a blessed day for all of us. Thank you, murakoze, mugire amahoro.
Murakoze cyane. We are coming to the end of our dialogue today, but something that I want to emphasize, this was just a short time that we had, and it was structured, but we are going to have more time that is not structured outside as we share lunch and network. So feel free to look at the people who were sharing solutions, those who had comments and questions and you thought you could answer them, the talks about data. I think this is the best time to engage in those conversations, and as Florier just said, it's a continued journey and we are looking forward to the best that we can do together. Thank you so much. Lunch is going to be served in the tent on the left side. There will be protocol outside to guide you. And allow me to thank you so much. Thank you so much for being patient with us, following us through and through, and joining this amazing and yet impactful high-level policy dialogue. Allow me to send distinct appreciation to the UN family, the development partners, and everyone that has made this possible to happen. Thank you so much all. Have a great afternoon. Sorry, they just reminded me that there are people who entered and they were not able to register. The team that takes registration is outside, so feel free to go and register.
Yeah.